Generally, the format of Vidyapit classes is that the first 15 minutes we recite important slokas from the canto which is being discussed. So, but next week onwards we can start that. So, now I will recite the verse so you can also follow, and someone can read the translation and we will discuss the purport. That is how our regular format is. So today we will begin the first canto, first chapter, questions by the sages. So these first three chapters of the first canto are very important for our understanding of the philosophy, and the very key elements of our Vaishnava Siddhanta are given in these first three chapters. So these three chapters contain the description of the process of bhakti, which is how there are so many stages in bhakti, how one can progress from the lowest level Shraddha till the highest level Prema, what are the stages that are before these 9 stages and after these 9 stages. So all these are very wonderfully explained in the second chapter. And next, also Krishna's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is established in the third chapter in several incarnations. And in the first chapter we have the 6 questions by the sages. So these questions are about the basic important elements that is foundational for our philosophy. What are Purushavatas? What are Leelavataras? What is the ultimate good for people? What is the essence of all scriptures? Right? Where did Dharma take shelter after Krishna disappeared? And why did Krishna descend? So there are very basic questions that we need to understand. So these first 3 chapters are very crucial, and also several devotees, when they begin to read Srimad Bhagavatam systematically from first verse, first chapter, first canto, like that, they may come across this very first verse, which is sometimes or many times like a bouncer. Right? Janmajyasya Yataha, there is a very long verse and some 10 pages purport by Prabhupada. And if you read chowaptty, he will give 5 explanations of this one verse, and that's another 20 pages purport. It's like quite elaborate. The first 3 verses, it's little difficult to digest for an average reader sometimes. So, and the first 3 chapters also have a lot of philosophical content, so that also might be little difficult for an average reader. So sometimes devotees might lose the impetus to read in a systematic fashion and then go to some selective episodes. Okay, I will read Dhruva Maharaj episode, or I will read Ambarish Maharaj episode. That could happen. But if we understand the importance of these first 3 chapters, and how, if you read the preface and the introduction in the first chapter, first verse purport, Prabhupada is very much recommending that one goes through this Srimad Bhagavatam verse by verse. The Prabhupada writes somewhere, the qualification to read this scripture is to go verse by verse. Right? I had purposefully included that in the Subodhini also. The preface of Subodhini also contains the statements by Prabhupada. And in the 13th page you can see, the only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step, cautiously, and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. It should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. The reading matter is so arranged with this text, with its original Sanskrit text, its English transliteration, synonyms, translation and purports, like that. So to explain a Sanskrit verse, several acharyas, great acharya like Srimad Prabhupada, so he explained the Sanskrit verse with these elements. First, it's a Devanagari verse, the Sanskrit verse written in Devanagari script or something like that for the understanding of Indians. So all the Indian languages are phonetic languages. What we read and what we write are same. But English is not like that. There are only 26 alphabets. It's not a phonetic language. So what we write and what we read could be different several times. So to put a Sanskrit verse which is very rich in its sounds in the 26 alphabets of English itself is a very commendable task. So there are diacritics. If you see the Srimad bhagavatam by BBT, there are diacritics. Janmadhyasya, janma. So that ye, janma, that is a longer ye. There is dirgha, hrasva syllables. That is called transliteration. So he did that. And after that, the complex Sanskrit verse has to be broken into small pieces, right? Individual words. That is called padacheda or sandhi vicheda. So breaking the bigger words into smaller parts, and then giving meanings, individual meanings to each of those words, right? What they mean, right? Literally and especially in that context, right? So that is padartokti, right? Every word will have a meaning. Then there is vakya yojana. Vakya yojana means generating a prose sentence for the poetry verse. Right? Prabhupada generated this prose sentence which is quite long, prose translation for the poetry verse. And there is vigraha and tarka. Vigraha means generating meanings for compound words. So some words, when they are combined with each other, they have different meanings, right? So that has to be clarified. What Sanskrit might mean literally may not be applied in this context. That is vakya, that is vigraha. And tarka means commentary, where tarka actually means debate. So several other non-bona fide commentators might have spoken about that verse in a certain way. So an authorized bona fide Vaishnava commentator, what he would do is he would present his argument, his bona fide argument, by defeating other arguments. Right? That is called tarka. So Prabhupada several times, this is not the right explanation for this verse, this is the right explanation. Many times that also is seen. So Prabhupada has presented Bhagavatam so richly, spending sleepless nights. So it's our great fortune that we are studying it. And especially this first canto, Bhakti Vignan Maharaj was mentioning to me that there are 3 sets of speakers in the first canto. They can be categorized into Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttam. So one set of speakers is Sutta Goswami and the Naimisharanya sages. They are considered to be on the level of Kanishta. That combination is a Kanishta combination, right? And Narada Muni and Vyasadeva, that is considered to be a Madhyama combination, because Narada Muni was attached to mode of goodness there, and Vyasadeva was in despondency, right? That's why it is considered little Madhyama level. And the sages, before this discussion, they were inclined to perform some ritualistic activities, right? Karmakandic activities initially. So that's why their involvement in the discussion is considered to be, will make it Kanishta. And Uttama level is Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit. Their combination is Uttama level, because the single and foremost qualification for discussing Krishna Katha for both the speaker and the listener is their renunciation. Sukadeva Goswami is thoroughly renounced person. He has nothing else to achieve in this life. He has nothing else to achieve by speaking Krishna Katha and after speaking Krishna Katha. He is totally renounced person. After speaking Krishna Katha, he will continue glorifying Krishna and all. After this, he doesn't have an agenda, to-do list. Okay, after class I need to go somewhere. He doesn't have that. He is totally renounced person. And Parikshit Maharaj, he has left everything in his kingdom and came and sat only to hear Krishna Katha. The only agenda in the rest of his life is just to hear Krishna Katha. He has no other purpose for living. He is totally renounced. So when such a wonderful combination comes together, a totally renounced speaker, a totally renounced hearer, they come together and discuss about the highest subject matter, Krishna Katha. That's like Uttam level. So now this first canto has these three sets of speaker-hearer combinations. Now we will discuss the first verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Janmadhyasya yatonvayadi tarataschaर्थेष्वभिघ्नस्वराट्.
Janmadhyasya yatonvayadi tarataschaर्थेष्वभिघ्नस्वराट्.
Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surayah.
Tene Brahma Hridayadi Muhyanti Yat Surayah.
Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrusha.
Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrusha.
Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
So this first verse gives us the Sambandha Gnan, the relationship, by describing about the absolute truth. So this first verse has several facets. So Prabhupada gives one generic understanding of this first verse, right, which is description of the absolute truth. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives 5 explanations for this verse. And Srila Jiva Goswami, he gives 2 explanations for this verse, which are more or less similar to 2 explanations of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So like that we can see how Acharyas have relished one verse of Bhagavatam in various angles, from various perspectives, right? So the first verse is giving the generic definition. I think we will spend sufficient time on this first verse, maybe an hour or so. So Janma, first is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vyasadeva is first offering obeisances to Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, right? So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the object of this book is Krishna. The prime subject matter of this book is Krishna. So Vyasadeva is offering his obeisances directly to Krishna right in the beginning. So Prabhupada explains this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya in the first paragraph of the purport. Right? I offer obeisances to Lord Vasudeva. Right? Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are either directly or indirectly his expansions, plenary expansions. Right? And Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is established in Krishna Sandarbha. Then Brahma Samhita by Brahmaji. Then Samaveda Upanishad, one Upanishad says like that. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, Mattah Paradaram Nanyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. So Krishna himself says that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of all the principal names of absolute truth, Krishna is the primary one. So like that, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has descended as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. That is why he is called Vasudeva also. So that is explained in the first paragraph of this verse. That is explanation of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Second, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Janma means creation. Janmadi means creation, etc. Creation, maintenance and destruction. Right? Janmadhyasya Yataha. They are all originating from this personality only. Krishna is the primeval cause of all causes. He is the cause of creation, maintenance and destruction of all the manifested universes. That is the first phrase of this verse. So Prabhupada writes in the purport. What I am doing is, I am explaining the verse phrase by phrase. I am giving the meaning of one phrase of the verse and speaking relevant portions of the purport from about that verse, about that phrase. Right? Or we can complete the meaning first and then we can come to purport also. Because Prabhupada doesn't go sequentially, he kind of mixes also. So Janmadhyasya means Krishna is the cause of all causes of creation, maintenance and destruction. Then Anvayat Itaratascha Artheshu Abhignaha. Anvayat means directly. Itarataha means indirectly. So directly or indirectly, Artheshu Abhignaha. He knows the purposes of everything. He is cognizant of everything. Whether directly or indirectly, he is cognizant of everything that happens in the entire creation. right? Then Swarat. Swarat means Krishna is fully independent. Then fourth, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayi. That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna only, has enlightened Brahmaji, the original living entity, the first living entity within this universe. So he enlightened Brahmaji from within, right, from his heart. Right? He imparted Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahma. Next, Muhyanti Yat Sorayaha. So about this absolute truth, Supreme Lord Krishna, even great sages and demigods are also put into illusion. No one can understand Krishna's position very well. Even Krishna himself says in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Name vidu swaraganaha prabhavam na maharshayaha aham adirhi devana maharshinam te sarvashaha. No one knows me. Suraganaha, no demigod knows me. Maharshayaha, all the sages don't know me. And I am the origin of all of them. Name vidu swaraganaha prabhavam na maharshayaha aham adirhi devana maharshinam te sarvasaha. I am the Adi of all devas and maharshis. Right? So, Muhyanti Yat Sorayaha. How do they get bewildered? Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha. So, Tejo means fire. Vari means water. Mridam means miti, earth. So, sometimes we get confused between earth and water, water and fire, fire and earth. Like that, we just get confused. Sometimes somebody sees a desert and thinks that it is water. Mirage. Someone may see a glass, so this is made of steel. Now imagine it's a glass, right? So someone will see glass and thinks that it is water, right? Because it is transparent and all. Like that, someone will get confused between earth, water and fire, etc. So like that, people get confused about the position, transcendental situation of the absolute truth, right? That is Muhyanti Yat Soraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha. Then Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisha. So only because of that absolute truth, right? All these material universes, although they are temporarily manifested, they appear almost factual. All these material universes are temporarily manifested, but we understand them as permanent things. Factual things, right? Real things, eternal things. So this is what one gets bewildered by this, only because of Lord's illusory energy. Vinimayo yatra trisargo amrisha. These material universes are nothing but manifestations of the reactions of modes. In the second canto, we will understand better. So the universe comes in the form of a small seed, pradhana, from the Lord's body, and Lord infuses Kala, Karma and Swabhava into that, and it transforms into Mahattattva, and Mahattattva by the influence of three modes, right? Mahattattva transforms into false ego, and the three modes, the false ego in the three modes will generate all the source ingredients for this entire universe. This universe is nothing but a product of combination of modes. Although it is illusory and a combination of modes, still it appears factual only by the illusory energy of the Lord. That's what this sixth phrase says. Vinimayo yatra trisargo amrisha. Then dhamna svena sada nirasta kohakam. So dhamna svena, the Lord personally is present in his own abode. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kohakam. Nirasta kohakam means it is free from all illusion. So this material world is a product of modes, and the spiritual world is free from modes, free from Maya, right? Lord resides there. Like that, he manifests this material world, temporary world, and he stays in the spiritual world. So these are the various elements of this verse. And finally Vyasadeva says, Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate on that absolute truth. Like that. Now we will first see Srila Prabhupada's purport. He says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, the first paragraph we have discussed. In the second paragraph, you see, Vasudeva or Lord Krishna is the cause of all causes. So that is Janmadhyasya Yataha. He is the cause of all causes. And in that paragraph, Prabhupada also gives an explanation of the history of Srimad Bhagavatam. That Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana, as approved by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. And The history of Bhagavatam is that Vyasadeva was despondent even after writing so many literatures. Then Narada Muni came and instructed him that he should write Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? He should glorify the Lord. So he wrote it. So Vyasadeva has compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam at the maturity of his knowledge. That's why this scripture of written by Srimad Bhagavatam, written by Vyasadeva, has to be given topmost importance, prominence over all the other works of Vyasadeva. Because he himself says in the next verse, Dharma projita kaitavotra, in the last line, Vyasadeva himself says that Kimva parai, what is the use of any other scripture? The author himself is saying, he wrote so many books, and then after attaining maturity of his knowledge, after getting a revelation of the absolute truth to the right understanding, he wrote this scripture, and then he said, what is the use of any other scripture? Just stick to this one scripture. That's what Vyasadeva emphatically is saying. If the author is recommending a book, and who is this author? He is a literary incarnation of Krishna. So the topmost, supremost author is approving his work, this work, as the supremost of all his works. So what should be given more prominence? Bhagavatam should be given most prominence. So Prabhupada explains that little bit in the 45th page, second paragraph. Now, in third paragraph he says, a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of creation. Sometimes one may sleep on the terrace, right, seeing the sky, and then sees all the stars and so many other things, and then who must be living there, how are they created. So someone might go into that kind of contemplation. So here Vyasadeva, right in the opening only, is saying origin of all creations is Krishna. Janmadhyasya yataha. Origin of all creations is Krishna, and behind every creation there is an intelligence. Behind this camera, some intelligence went into it. Behind the making of this camera, behind the making of this mic or this desk, some intelligence went into it. So the supreme intelligence behind this entire cosmic manifestation is Krishna. That's what the first word of this verse says. Janmadhyasya yataha. Krishna is the supreme intelligence behind the entire creation. Right? He is the supreme living being. He has the greatest intelligence. So different living entities are there. They have their individual intelligence. He is the supreme living being. He has the supreme intelligence. That's what Prabhupada says. So Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the supreme intelligence as the Parameshvara, that is Krishna. Like that. So he says in the next paragraph that in Vedic literatures it is said that the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is the chief amongst the living personalities. All living beings beginning from first created being Brahma down to the smallest ant are individual living beings. So Lord is also individual living being, but he is the supreme living being. Right? He is the origin of all. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. So Brahmaji in his Brahma Vimohan Leela, that after the Brahma Vimohan Leela there are prayers by Brahmaji. There he says, but dear Lord, where are you and where am I? Just like that window is there, if there is a screen on that window and then sunlight is coming from that window, you can see so many particles of dust or whatever we can see in that sunlight, sun rays coming inside the room. So like that, millions and millions of universes are coming from the sweat pores of your body, my dear Lord. And one of those particles, means one of those universes, in one of those universes, I am a Brahma. Right? And there are millions of other universes, there are Brahmas there also. And where are these universes coming from? An expansion of an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of yourself. And where am I and where are you? So he just gives that discrimination. You are the supreme living entity. You expand and expand and expand and then somehow manifest Mahavishnu. And he manifests millions of universes, and one small universe, I am a four-headed Brahma. So he establishes the difference between the Lord and this entire other living entities, and himself mainly, Brahmaji. So Krishna himself says, Mattah paratanam nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. Prabhupada writes that in this verse. So there is no other tattva superior to Krishna. Mattah parataram na anyat. So Mayavadi might translate it as Mattah parataram na anyat, means there is no one different from me. but actual meaning is there is no one superior to me. Parataram, there is no one above me. Like that. Now, unscrupulous persons might go directly into the 10th canto. Rasapantyadhyaya. Prabhupada criticizes that. Right? They are highly spiritual subject matters. Krishna's dealings with the gopis. So one should not directly touch them. Go step by step. Go verse by verse, chapter by chapter. Like that. And here, Satyam Param Dhimahi. Here, in this first verse only, the author, Vyasadeva, he invokes Gayatri mantra, Brahma Gayatri. How is that? Jiva Goswami explains that Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam, that is there, right? So, first Janmadhyasya is equivalent to Om, he says. Then Swarat is equivalent to Savitur Varenyam Bhargaha, right? The sun's self-manifesting effulgence is Savitur Varenyam Bhargaha, that is equivalent to Swarat, the independent nature, self-effulgent nature of the Lord, that is corresponding to that. Then Bhur Bhuva Swaha, that is corresponding to Yatra Trisargo Amrisha, the lower planetary systems, middle planetary systems, higher planetary systems, Bhur Bhuva Swaha, that is corresponding to Yatra Trisargo. So Satyam Param Dhimahi, right? So all these are, this is corresponding to the Gayatri also, right? Gayatri is supposed to be spoken by Brahminical people, but Vyasadeva is invoking Gayatri mantra right in the beginning to give faith that this literature is so sacred. So now, in the very first aphorism, that Janmadhyasya Yataha, Vyasadeva established that Lord is the source of everything. Now, Lord is the primeval cause of everything has been established. Someone might question, Lord may be the cause directly, indirectly, right? He may be behind, but Prakriti is the immediate cause. So Prakriti will manifest everything. For example, a potter, right? He may be seemingly the cause of the making of the pot, but actually the instruments that he uses, the potter's wheel is there and there is some stick that he uses, right, to rotate the wheel. So they are also the causes. Actually they are the immediate causes. Potter is just behind them. So someone may question like that. Lord may be the indirect cause. How can the Lord be the primary cause? How can the Lord be the direct cause? Someone may question like that. So the answer is, Chakravartipad quotes a verse from the 11th canto, Uddhava Gita. He says that Lord is indirect cause, that is agreed. So Lord is the direct cause also, because Lord is the one who is manifesting in the form of Prakriti. Lord is the one who is time also. So Krishna himself says in Uddhava Gita, time and Prakriti are seemingly the causes of this material nature, this material world, but I am the time and I am the Prakriti. Right? There is no difference. That non-difference aspect also Prabhupada explains in the later parts of the thing, purport. He says that there is energetic and there is energy. Right? In the scriptures we find Bheda Vakyas and Abheda Vakyas. Bheda Vakyas means those statements of the scriptures that emphasize the difference between the Lord and His energies. They are called Bheda Vakyas. Abheda Vakyas means those statements that explain the non-difference between the Lord and His energies. So Lord and living entity are same. Lord and this universe, they are same. They are Abheda Vakyas. Lord and living entity, they are different. Lord and living entity, the Lord and the universe, they are different. They are called Bheda Vakyas. Right? If one gives so much of emphasis to Bheda Vakyas only, he is inclined to Dvaita philosophy. If one gives more inclination to Abheda Vakyas, he becomes Mayavadi, Advaita. Right? So he says one, he says two. But our thing is Achintya Bheda Abheda. Right? Bheda and Abheda, we accept both in the right spirit. How? Energy and energetic are same. Because without energy, there is no meaning to the energetic. Right? Without energetic, there is no existence for the energy only. Is it not? Without energetic, energy cannot exist. And without energy, there is no meaning to the energetic only. So both are always together, they are same. In that sense, Lord and his energies are same. Lord and the living entities are same in that spiritual sense. At the same time, energy is different from the energy also. Right? So whatever is ambiguous in this explanation, you add the word achintya. That will make it clear. If something is not clear, add the word achintya. Achintya, bheda, abheda, tattva. They are one and different also, simultaneously. That is achintya, bheda, abheda, tattva. This is our philosophy. Right? So, Lord is directly the cause and indirectly the cause also. So, anvaya ditartasya artheshu abhignaha swarat. So, in that paragraph, which is beginning with Srimad Bhagavatam, is the narration of the Swarupa of the Lord manifested by his internal potency. So, Bhagavatam is the narration of Lord's Swarupa. Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, right? Just like a person has all kinds of emotions and all different kinds of dealings in which he interacts with people, similarly, Bhagavatam also is a person. Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. It also interacts with the reader. It's not any other ordinary material book where one can understand in proportion to one's intelligence. Physics, one can understand to the extent he is intelligent, right, materially. But Bhagavatam cannot be understood with one's material intelligence. Bhagavatam is a person. Someone may be approaching another person with his intelligence, he will only tap the intelligence of the other person. He cannot touch the heart. Bhagavatam also is not just accessible to intelligent persons. The essence of Bhagavatam is revealed to a sincere reader. Right? So just like Bhagavatam is compared to Mohini Murti, other day we were seeing. So Mohini Murti, she was distributing nectar to demigods, not distributing nectar to the demons. She had that discrimination. Right? Similarly, Bhagavatam also will reveal its meaning to a sincere reader, not a puffed up scholar. Apparently, puffed up scholar might quote verses better than an ordinary average reader who is sincere. But the meaning of Bhagavatam is more revealed to this average reader, simple person, devotee, than a puffed up scholar. Right? So one should not seek scholarship from Bhagavatam, one should seek friendship from Bhagavatam. Friendship with the philosophy of Bhagavatam. Friendship with the characters of Bhagavatam. Friendship with the pastimes of Bhagavatam. Right? May this philosophy which is given in Bhagavatam influence and mold my life and make me progress on the spiritual path. May the characters described in this Bhagavatam inspire me to lead my life in a Vaishnava way. So that's what one should seek from Bhagavatam. When the approach is proper, then Bhagavatam will reveal. When the approach is in a scholarly way or in a, intellectual way. So intelligence has its role to play in understanding Bhagavatam, no doubt. But one cannot conquer. Gaurang Prabhu says, one should approach Bhagavatam in the mode of request, not conquest. Right? So the approach has to be one of submissive nature. That comes again in the second verse. Right? So here, Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarupa of the Lord. This is why I was saying that. So it is Krishna. So just like person is there, depending on your emotions, the other person will reciprocate with you. Similarly, depending on our emotions, this book will reciprocate. This is not different from the person Krishna. This also has the ability to reciprocate. A physics textbook may not have the ability to reciprocate. It only reveals itself to the extent the student is intelligent enough to understand. But this is beyond intelligence, beyond material intelligence. So, dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. So, that part also Prabhupada touches in this purport. Spiritual world, material world. Prabhupada gives a difference between the material world and the spiritual world. So, you can read yourself. So, the cosmic creation results from the interaction of three modes. And the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul. See, such a heavy statement Prabhupada makes. We'll read again. Temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned souls, who appears in so many species, like that.
He is a conditioned soul. His mind is bewildered and he is seeing temporary manifestations, and they also have the ability to bewilder him more and put him in illusion. That is the whole purpose of the material world, to bewilder the conditioned soul. Right? So there is no reality in the manifested world. So no reality in the sense that it's not the Mayavadic sense. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, that's not the sense. Right? It is temporarily manifested. So because it is temporary, illusory, actually the illusoriness is not so much in the world. Yeah, world is also illusory in one sense, right? Because it is temporarily manifested, it is coming from the external energy of the Lord, all those are there. But the illusion also very significantly exists in the person who is seeing this world. So this world is meant for my enjoyment. That mentality itself is illusion. And this world is filled with people with that mentality. That's why it is illusory world. That's one angle of looking at it. Right? So he is thinking that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer in this world. Which is not. Maya means that which is not. Illusion means that which is not existing. And this world is definitely not existing for my enjoyment. I am not the enjoyer of this world. I am not the controller of this world. I am not the master of this world. But most living entities, almost all living entities in this world are thinking like that only. That's why this is illusory world. Filled with illusory people. Right? People who are in illusion. Like that. So, but Lord is cognizant of all this. The chief engineer of a complicated construction site is aware of every nook and corner of the entire the construction site, right? So similarly, Lord is also either directly or indirectly he is cognizant of everything. So Prabhupada gives more examples there. That an embodied person is there. If someone pinches me here, I will immediately know, oh, I am having pain here, someone is pinching me. Someone just puts a pinprick here, I will immediately know. So an embodied person will know what's happening with his body to some extent, right? That is within his body only. But the Lord knows what is happening in the entire cosmic manifestation in everybody's body, in every planet. He is supremely cognizant. So Prabhupada explains that in the next paragraph also. Abhignaha and Swarat. Nobody can be Abhigna, nobody can be Swarat to the extent Lord is Abhigna and Swarat. Lord is completely cognizant of everything. Mayavadis may claim Mayavadis cannot be cognizant, Mayavadis cannot be Swarat. Right? He doesn't know everything, and for his food he has to depend on some philanthropist. Prabhupada writes like that. Scientist, he cannot be cognizant, he cannot be independent. He may do some experiments and know some things, but he doesn't know everything. He is not a Abhigna, and he is not Swarat. The apparatus for his experiment are coming from the Lord's creation only. Right? How can you call yourself independent? You are depending on the creation of the Lord to do whatever experiments you are doing. So scientists and Mayavadis, they are not Abhigna and Swarat. Prabhupada establishes that. Lord is Swarat. Just like everybody, Lord is independent and everybody else is dependent on him. Prabhupada gives this gold mine analogy. So there is gold in the mine, and all the golden ornaments like earrings or necklaces and pile or bangles, etc., they are created from the gold in the mine. So all these ornaments of the gold are dependent on the gold mine. Lord is the gold mine and all the other creations are gold, golden ornaments. That's what he says. He is Swarat, he is independent. So nothing is absolutely equal to the Lord, at the same time nothing is independent of the absolute truth. Like that. So living entity has minute independence, that is acknowledged, and Lord will never interfere with that independence. And Lord Prabhupada also says in this purport that scientists cannot manufacture the brain, and what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord. Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord are neither Abhigna nor Swarat. Mayavadis flatter themselves that, oh, one day I am going to become God, one day I am going to become God. They constantly flatter themselves. Even they are not Abhigna and Swarat. Scientists are not Abhigna and Swarat, we just discussed. So scientist may create a flower, or whoever, paper flower, cloth flower, plastic flower, but can he create seeds from that flower and procreate from it? Can he create fragrance from that flower? Right? So can he create pollen from that flower? So like that, they cannot be independent. They have to depend on Lord's creation. But Lord can create something and He can empower that creation with the ability to recreate. Lord has created male form, Lord has created female form. They interact with each other. They can create more female and male forms. So Lord empowered with that. So no machine can produce another machine. Prabhupada writes like that. So yeah, these are some of the highlights of Prabhupada's purport. Now we will see Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport. You can see Bhagavat Subodhini, page number 192. Next week? Oh, I thought you gave last week. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay, no problem. You can just hear. Whoever has can share with other devotees. So we will see limb by limb. Just in one line, one page, you can see everything at a glance. So Janmadhyasya Yataha. So the first explanation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is more or less similar to Prabhupada's. Right? You will easily understand the first explanation. The first explanation is absolute truth is transcendental. Right? The transcendental nature of the absolute truth is explained in the first verse. The first explanation. So Janmadhyasya means Lord is the cause of creation, maintenance and destruction. Right? Then Anvayaditarasya means Lord is directly and indirectly the cause. Right? Or Lord is the efficient cause and the material cause. These are different names. So Artheshu Abhignaha means he is the knower of everything, knower of all objects. Then Swarat, he is completely independent. Then Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye, that Lord has imparted Vedic knowledge in the heart of Brahma. Okay. Then Muhyante Yat Surayaha, it is difficult to understand the Lord even by great learned people. Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatratre Sargo Amrisha means just like one gets confused with fire, water and land, similarly one might get confused in his understanding about the Lord, right? Because of modes. So Dhamna Svayana Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. So Lord negates, the absolute truth negates all false arguments regarding his existence as a transcendental absolute truth. Right? By Lord is in the spiritual world, right? And living entities, conditioned living entities are in the material world. So Dhamna Svena, he always stays there. That's what Prabhupada says. And here Chakravarti says he negates all false arguments regarding his existence, possessing transcendental and inconceivable characteristics, like that, about his Swarupa, etc. Then Satyam Param Dhimahi means let me meditate on that absolute truth. So this explanation of the first verse as absolute truth as is transcendental, that is considered to be lamp. Lamp means that in a dark room, if you lit a lamp, that will fill the room with light, that will dissipate the darkness. That's what a lamp does. This first explanation, like a lamp, dissipates the darkness about the knowledge of the absolute truth. By presenting a generic understanding of the absolute truth, this first explanation acts like a lamp. Now, second explanation, it describes Krishna's form. This explanation is considered sun. Sun is more powerful than the lamp, right? Lamp can dissipate darkness within a room. Sun can dissipate darkness in the entire world. So, second explanation is more powerful because it directly describes Krishna's personal form and his activities. That's why it is little more powerful than the first explanation. What is that explanation? Janmadhyasya Yataha. Anvayaditaratascha. What does it mean? Krishna's Janma, it is directly speaking about Krishna, not generic understanding of the absolute truth. Janmadyasya yataha means Krishna's Janma appearance has happened in the jail of Kamsa in Mathura. Anvayaditaratascha, and after appearing in this jail, Krishna was transferred to Vrindavan, right? Gokul. He took birth here and then he transferred somewhere else. Anvayaditaratascha. That's what. These words can have different meanings. So Krishna appeared in house of Vasudev and shifted to house of Nanda Maharaj. Artheshu abhigna means he is cognizant. He is cognizant of what? He is cognizant of the evil intentions of Kamsa. He is cognizant of the loving devotional service of all the Brajavasis. Knowing that, he shifted from Mathura to Vrindavan. Swarat, he is independent. That's what it means literally. But how is he independent? Krishna was independent in surrendering his independence to the Brajavasis and being dependent on them, their love and affection. That's why he is called Swarat in the second explanation. Then Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. What does it mean? He is the person who revealed all the boys, Gopa boys and the calves to be Vishnu forms to Brahmaji. This is Brahma Vimohan Lila. Right? That is the meaning of that word. Then Muhyante Yat Swarayah. He can bewilder even great persons like Narada Muni. Narada Muni once got bewildered. Oh God, Krishna has 16,108 queens. How is he managing his grahastha life with all these people? Right? He wanted to check out. So he went to so many places. Once in one house Krishna is seen playing dice with his queens. In another house he sees Krishna taking care of his children. In another house he sees Krishna teaching sword fighting to his sons. In another house he sees that Krishna is arranging marriages for his children. So like that he is engaged in so many activities. Right? Then Narada Muni was astonished. He was surprised. Oh, my Lord is so powerful. Then Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisha. Krishna's body is appearing material to the demons, but not to the devotees. Right? So although it is completely spiritual, it appears as material to the demoniac people. Aghasur says, I will swallow this fellow and then finish him off. Bakasur says, I will swallow and then... But he has spiritual body. How can anyone consider it material body and as a something which is subject to killing or destruction? Like that. Then Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kohakam. Right? So through his abode Mathura and by revelation of his form to his devotees, he destroys ignorance about himself. Right? Krishna destroys ignorance concerning his position by revealing his form and dham to the devotees. Like that. So wherever Krishna did pastimes, either Mathura or Vrindavan or Dwaraka, none of them are subject to illusion. Nirasta Kohakam means devoid of illusion. Dhamna, all the three dhams are devoid of illusion because Krishna performed pastimes there. Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kohakam. Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate on that absolute truth. So here Satyam. Who is that Satyam? Krishna is that Satyam. Why he is called Satyam here? In the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, Garbhastuti, where all the demigods would come in front of Mother Devaki and offer prayers to Krishna in the womb of Mother Devaki. That is Garbhastuti. The first prayer that they say is Satyavratam Satyaparam Trisatyam Satyatmakam. What's the, anyone remembers? Satyasya yonim nihitam cha satya. Satyasya satyam vrata satya netram satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapadye. So Satya. Krishna is glorified as Satya several times in that one verse. So by quoting that verse, Acharya say that he is that Satyam. Satyam param dhimahi. I will meditate on that absolute truth. He is Satya. So now that is second explanation, which is like sun, which is going deeper into the understanding of Krishna's personality. Then third explanation is explaining about conjugal rasa. How this first verse explains the conjugal rasa. The first explanation gave us the understanding, a generic understanding of the absolute truth. Second verse gave us the understanding of Krishna's Swarupa and his activities. Third verse gives an understanding of the conjugal rasa or Madhura rasa, Madhurya rasa. The mellow that is existing between Krishna and the gopis. Right? So what is that? Janmadhyasya yataha anvayaditaratascha. What does that mean? So Krishna, right, meets these gopis and has different pastimes. Sometimes Krishna stays away from these gopis. So this explanation is supposed to be explaining Madhura rasa, conjugal rasa. So from this conjugal rasa arises the feelings in meeting and separation. Anvayaditaratasya refer to meeting and separation. There are conjugal feelings that are existing in the meeting and separation of gopis and Krishna. That's what the first phrase means. Anvayaditaratasya. Then Artheshu Abhignaha means Krishna is most skillful in everything related to rasa. Damodar Prabhu taught this chapter for our batch there. So he is most skillful in everything related to rasa. So he is the Rasaraj. He is the hero of all 64 rasas. Then Swarat, he is beyond the material realm. That's what it means. This conjugal rasa is beyond the material realm. That conjugal rasa means the relationship between man and woman that is existing in this material world is tainted by lust. It is totally on material level. But the conjugal rasa in relation to Krishna and the gopis is purely spiritual. That's why it is Swarat. Right? It's beyond the material realm. Then it is spiritual. Then Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. Another interesting thing. The various attributes of this conjugal rasa, the Sringara rasa, are revealed to Bharata Muni, Adi Kavaye. Bharata Muni has all these different rasas. They are referred to by Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So about some technical nuances of this are revealed to Bharata Muni. That's why Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. Then Muhyanti Yat Suraya, about which other poets get bewildered. Right? Then Tejo Vari Vidam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha. That means the literary meanings of which are revealed to this poet Bharatamuni are not revealed to others. Right? In whom alone arises the three types of literary meaning. So three types of literary meaning. Trisargo Mrisha means Dhvani, Guna and Alankara. Right? Dhvani means illusion. Right? That repetition. Guna means skill of composing a verse. Alankara means ornamentation in writings. These little deeper things. So all these various attributes of writing, poetry or literature are revealed to Bharatmuni. Like that. Then Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam. This Madhura Rasa, it defeats all the withered arguers by its extraordinary spiritual experience. Like that. Let us meditate on that Krishna, who is the object of this conjugal rasa. Then fourth explanation is Radha and Krishna together. The third explanation in a general way explains the conjugal rasa. The fourth explanation specifically points out the conjugal rasa between Radha and Krishna. This is even deeper and more esoteric. So Janmadhyasya Yataha means from whose combination arises the height of Madhura rasa. Earlier it was Madhura rasa, conjugal rasa. The height of conjugal rasa is there in the combination between Radha and Krishna. Like that. Anvayaditaratasya means for the Srimati Radharani, Krishna has left behind all the other gopis. Anvayaditaratasya arthishu. So Krishna went with Srimati Radharani, leaving behind all the other gopis. Because conjugal rasa is there in every gopi. But the height of conjugal rasa is there in Srimati Radharani. So Krishna left and then went along with Srimati Radharani. Like that. Then Artheshu Abhignaha. Krishna is called Dhira Lalita. So Dhira Lalita means he is most skillful in the arts of pleasing the beloved. So Dhira Lalita refers to a male lover who has a lot of skill in pleasing the beloved. If you see Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what was the first verse? Akhila Rasamrita Murti Prasmara Ruchiruddha Taraka Palin Kalita Shyama Lalito Radha Preyan Vidhurjayati. This is the first verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. There this word comes, Radha Preyan Vidhurjayati. Kalita Shyama Lalito means Krishna in relation with other gopis who are neutral, who are friendly, who are inimical to Srimati Radharani. So there are different categories of gopis. Krishna has different relation. But when it comes to Srimati Radharani, Radha Preyan means Krishna endeavors his best to please Srimati Radharani. He takes so much effort in pleasing her. So she deserves the maximum, she obtains the maximum attention from Krishna. So that's why his Arthe Shobhignam is referring to Krishna's Dhira Lalita in relation to Srimati Radharani. Then Swarat. So she exhibited herself as independent lover. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. And Krishna imparted this wonderful relationship between himself and Srimati Radharani to Adi Kavaye, that is Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami has an understanding of the glory of the relationship between Radha and Krishna. And according to Jiva Goswami, he also says that this Adi Kavaye here refers to Vyasadeva. Because Bhagavatam is written by Vyasadeva, is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, is written by Vyasadeva. So both of them have the understanding of this wonderful relationship between Radha and Krishna. Adi Kavaye refers to both. Next, Muhyanti Yat Surayaha. Right? Muhyanti Yat Surayaha means getting bewildered. But in this case, Muhyanti means getting ecstatic and fainting in ecstasy. So by knowing about the wonderful prema between Radha and Krishna, one will faint. Muhyanti Yat Surayaha. Great people also will faint. Then Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Amrisha. That is just like fire, water, earth, reverse their properties. One faints in ecstasy by hearing Radha Krishna pastimes means there is lot of transformation that happens in his body. For example, if you see the Antya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there we see Mahaprabhu experiencing ecstatic symptoms in remembrance of Radha and Krishna, and he will, his body will melt, right? His body, his limbs will get elongated, right? So in ecstasy, one will, the like natural properties of body will change also, like that. Then Yatra Trisargo Amrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakobhagam. That means by Srimati Radharani's influence, the three Shaktis, now Trisargo Amrisha can refer to so many things. One is, there are three Shaktis, three potencies of the Lord, Shri, Bhu and Leela. And there are three Dhams, Vrindavan Dham, Dwaraka Dham, then Mathura Dham, right? Three Dhams. And there are three classes of gopis: neutral gopis, friendly gopis, and gopis who are opposition party, right? Like opposing Radharani also, Chandravali, like that. So there are three categories of gopis, there are three dhams, and there are three potencies. But in front of Srimati Radharani, all of them appear insignificant. Yatra Trisargo Vrisha. Here it's not Amrisha here, it is Mrisha here. The apostrophe before Mrisha, that A is removed, Mrisha only. Yatra Trisargo Mrisha means this Trisargo, these three dhams are three categories of gopis, are three three potencies. All of them appear insignificant in comparison to Srimati Radharani in her ability to give pleasure to Krishna, right? So Krishna can fulfill all his desires in the association of Srimati Radharani. All his potencies and all the other gopis and all the dhams are meant to give Krishna pleasure only. But when Srimati Radharani is existing, she gives the maximum pleasure to Krishna, that Krishna even forgets the other sources of pleasure also. That is Atra Trisarga Mrisha. Then Satyam Param Dhimahi. Without deceit, in correct manner, aspiring for the highest goal, let us meditate on Srimati Radharani and Krishna. This is a little esoteric. I hope it's not getting too technical. So, then the last explanation is about Bhakti Rasa, Bhakti Yoga. This is very relevant. We can easily relate to this, right? Other two are little esoteric, but last one is quite good. quite relevant for us. So Bhakti Yoga. How this first verse explains Bhakti Yoga? That's what is the last explanation. Janmadhyasya yataha means this Bhakti Yoga. Now you keep Bhakti Yoga in the mind when we are going through the verse. This Bhakti Yoga brings about appearance of Bhagavan. Janma adi yasya yataha. The appearance, Janma means appearance. The appearance of Bhagavan in one's heart is possible by execution of Bhakti Yoga. Next, Anvaya Ditaratasya means in which there are other realizations also. First word said, Janmadhyasya Bhagavan realization will happen by Bhakti Yoga, and others, Paramatma realization and Brahman realization are included in this Bhakti Yoga only. If one realizes Bhagavan by doing Bhakti Yoga, he need not separately endeavor for Paramatma realization and Brahman realization. They are included. So Brahman is what? Krishna's effulgence. Paramatma is what? Krishna's partial expansion. And you are directly serving the person Krishna, you are directly in touch with Krishna, then when you are in touch with the person, his effulgence is right there. You may not acknowledge it, you may not give so much importance to that effulgence because you are directly with the person. Like that. So Paramatma realization, then Brahman realization are included in Bhagavan realization. Right? So that is this. Anvaya Datratasya. Then Artheshu Abhigna means it has complete knowledge. Right? Bhakti Yoga can give complete knowledge. Right? The cultivation of Jnana is not needed. The cultivation of other things, right? Yogic processes, they are all not needed when one cultivates Bhakti Yoga. Right? Then Swarat. Bhakti Yoga is independent of all other processes. To achieve perfection in Jnana, one has to depend on Bhakti. To achieve perfection in Yoga, one has to depend on Bhakti. But Bhakti, to achieve perfection in Bhakti, you do not depend on other things. That's why it is called Swarat. Then Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. This Bhakti process is very nicely revealed to Vyasadeva by Narada Muni. Right? Narada Muni revealed. If you see the 5th chapter of the first canto, Narada Muni spoke a lot about Bhakti Yoga to Vyasadeva. That's what this phrase means. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Then Muhyanti Yat Surayaha. This Bhakti Yoga, the glory of this Bhakti Yoga, it is so simple that even great learned scholars also might miss it. Right? It's so sublime. So they might miss it. They will think, oh, just by hearing and chanting you will attain Krishna. People will think that it's like over-promising. For such a simple process, we are promising a big result. I don't believe it. Okay, let me go somewhere else. Muhyanti Yat Sorayaha. Suris are bewildered. But simple people can easily accept. Like that. Then Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha. And this Bhakti Yoga is beyond the modes. Beyond the 3 modes. I mean, all the 3rd canto, Kapil Dev describes Bhakti in 3 modes. They are not defined according to the process. They are defined according to the practitioner. Practitioner is in different modes. A person who is in Tamoguna, Rajoguna or Sattoguna can practice Bhakti. But Bhakti is beyond modes. This is the proof. Right? Next, Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam. Bhakti can defeat all its opponents by its very nature of giving direct experience of bliss in Krishna's service. It cannot be reduced. Right? It cannot be realized by any other process. Like that. So let us, Satyam Param Dhimahi means, let us meditate on that most auspicious process of Bhakti Yoga. So these are the 5 ways in which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this first verse. The first explanation is compared to lamb, second explanation is compared to sun, the third 3 explanations are compared to a tasty fruit. Right? So the first explanation is giving Sambandha Gnan, but the last explanation, Bhakti Yoga, that is giving Abhideya Gnan, process of Bhakti Yoga. Like that. So, the object of worship or Vishaya of Bhagavatam is described in the middle explanation, 4th, Radha Krishna together. Okay. So that is about the first verse. Now shall we go to the second verse? Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Srimad bhagavate mahamuni krute kim va parairishvarah Sadyo hridi avarudhyatetra krutibhi susrushubhi takshanat So the second verse is describing the process of abhideya. So it describes the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. It defines what is true religion. We will first discuss the meaning, then we will go into the explanation. So dharma projita kaitava. So kaitava dharma means pretentious religion is kicked out right in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. So dharma, which is characterized by these four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? Cheating religion, pretentious religion, materially motivated religion is kicked out right in the beginning. Paramo, Bhagavatam propounds the highest truth. Nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. So Bhagavatam is understandable by 100% pure-hearted, non-envious devotees. Nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. Vastavam atra vastu. The real substance is described here, that is Krishna. Not the shadow, it is substance. Vastavam atra vastu. For what? Shivadam. Shivadam means for the auspiciousness of people. Right? Shivadam, for auspiciousness it is described. Then tapatrayon molanam, all the material miseries will be vanquished by taking shelter of this one scripture. Then tapatrayon molanam Srimad Bhagavate, this Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahamuni Krite, which is compiled by Vyasadev, Mahamuni, at the maturity of his knowledge, is sufficient for God realization. Kimva Parai, what is the use of any other book? Ishvaraha Sadyo Hridi Avarudhyate. So Krishna will directly descend into the heart of a sincere reader of Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Kritibhi Susrushubhi Tatskshanat. Immediately. Right? Without delay, Krishna is manifested or established in one's heart. Krishna is captivated in one's heart by a sincere student of Bhagavatam. Right? That is why there is no need of other scripture. So this is the meaning. Now we will go into explanation. So dharma projita kaitava. So what kind of dharmas are rejected? Dharma projita kaitava. Dharma means an occupational duty, or literally it is that which sustains one's existence, right? Or the nature of something, right? Or a process, right? Or the duty of someone. So these are all various meanings of dharma. So dharma projita kaitava. Kaitava dharma could be, right? For example, there is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Four things. So people do dharma, various religious activities, to get artha. Artha means money. And why do they need money? To fulfill kama, their sense gratificatory desires. And if they are frustrated in kama, they will take to moksha. Generally, what moksha? It is impersonal liberation, merging into the effulgence of the Lord, like that. So that is the general dharmartha kama moksha process. That is rejected. And what else is rejected? Sakama karma, nishkama karma, jnana process, yoga process, ashtanga yoga process. All these are also rejected. They are also projita dharma only. Anything less than pure devotional service to Krishna is rejected in Bhagavatam. That's the right in the beginning it says. Right? Dharma projita kaitavo, it's directly rejected. Then paramo, we will see. Paramo means it propounds the highest truth. No compromise. Very straightforward. So highest truth it propounds. It is purely transcendental literature which can be understood only by pure devotees. Vedyam vastav nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. Right? It propounds the highest truth And because it is the highest truth, it is understandable by highest, topmost, pure personalities. If one's heart is filled with envy, one cannot understand Krishna. Right? One cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So, next Prabhupada says, how is that envy manifested? Through competition. Right? So the other day also we discussed, to the extent one is non-envious, to that extent one understands Bhagavatam. To the extent one has envy in his heart, to that extent Bhagavatam blocks its understanding to that person. Right? That's why in the previous verse also we discussed, Bhagavatam is a person. That is proved here. Nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. So what is the relationship between the character of a person and the content of the book? Right? If you have intelligence, you can understand. One may drink also, and if you have some intellectual ability, you can understand. That's what physics. So many students do late night and study. They have so many ill habits. They may be toppers also. Right? Their character is not very much correlated with their material success. Right? So in material education, many times. Right? Of course, even in material education also some discipline will help, but it's all the more relevant in Bhagavatam study. Nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. Absolutely no envy. That envy is a disqualification to enter into the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Envy is a disqualification to enter spiritual world also. Because in the spiritual world, what to speak of Goloka, even in Vaikuntha also, in Vaikuntha, even amongst plants and birds also, there is no envy. Mandara kunda kurabotpala champakarna punnaga naga bakulambuja parijata gandherchite tulasika bharanena tasya yasmim stapah sumanaso bahumanayanti. So there are so many beautiful, colorful flowers in the spiritual world. Mandara, Kunda, Kuraba, Utpala, so many beautiful plants are there, emanating sweet fragrance, different shapes. But when Tulasi comes, which doesn't have so many multicolors or different shapes, it's just a leaf, green leaf. But that is very dear to Krishna. So all the flowers and plants in the spiritual world, which are very beautiful and colorful, they encourage Tulasi, you go and serve. No envy. And Paravatanya Dhritasarasa Chakravaka Datyuha Hamsa Sukatittiri Barhinamya Kola Halo Viramate Chiramatra Muchair Brangadipe Harikathamiva Gayamani. So there are so many beautiful birds who have such wonderful voice, right? They can sing so sweetly. So all these wonderful birds will maintain a low profile. Chiramatra Muchair. When Brangadipe, the beautiful bumblebee, comes and starts glorifying Hari. Bhrangadhipe Hari Katham Iva Gayamani. So Hari Katham Iva means Bhranga is that bumblebee is not even glorifying Krishna, not even doing Hari Katha. Its buzzing sounds like that is resembling Hari Katha, and it's getting so much encouragement from whom? From the most qualified singing birds. So there is no envy there. There is only encouragement there. This is the quality of Vaikuntha. And what to speak of Goloka? In the Goloka, there is Kaviraj Goswami gives a beautiful comparison in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is this Lata, Bhakti Lata, where there is a creeper. Srimati Radharani is like devotional creeper. And all the leaves and twigs and branches and flowers of that creeper, devotional creeper, is they are compared to the gopis. So gopis are the leaves and twigs of the creeper, and Srimati Radharani is the creeper itself, right? And Krishna's pastimes are the water that is put on the creeper. So when the creeper gets water, then all the flowers and twigs and leaves of that creeper will get nourished. They feel happy. Similarly, when Srimati Radharani engages in personal service of Krishna and pastimes with Krishna, all the gopis would get millions of times more happiness than their own personal experience of serving Krishna directly. They all encourage Srimati Radharani, you go and serve Krishna, you go and serve Krishna. And what is Srimati Radharani's mood? Radharani always gets looks forward for the opportunities to encourage other gopis, you go and serve Krishna, you go and serve Krishna. Seeing this mutual non-envious dealings, this mutual loving relationships between the gopis and Srimati Radharani, Krishna feels so happy. Like that. So there is no envy in Goloka, there is no envy in Vaikuntha. The qualification to enter Goloka or Vaikuntha is not having envy, and the qualification to enter Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a description of all the pastimes of Krishna and dhams of Krishna and the process of worship of Krishna, that is also not having any envy. Nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. Like that. And that envy is manifested in competition. What is that competition? Competition is at 3 levels. Competitionlessness is at 3 levels. So with envy, one always competes in the material world, right? Because I cannot tolerate someone else's success. He is going so forward, he is advancing so much. I want to pull him down, or I want to compete with him and then go farther than him. So that competition is there. So Prabhupada says that non-envious devotees, what they do, they rise above those competitions, and their non-enviousness is established in 3 levels. First, they are not envious of other people. That is like first level of non-enviousness. Second level of non-enviousness is, Prabhupada writes, they are well-wishers of others. First, they are not envious of others' success. Second, they start having good wishes for you. Third level is, they strive to establish a competition-less society. Right? So this is what Prabhupada writes. You see, non-envy. You see then from the paragraph, the 6th line. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, that is first level. Second, they are well-wishers of everyone. Third, they strive to establish a competition-less society with God in center. When someone keeps God in center, there is no competition. There is no envy. Like that. So, Prabhupada also says there that sense gratification is the basis of life, material life. Right? So, there are 3 paths in the Vedas: karma, jnana, and other things. Bhakti. Bhakti is the superior most. All these are explained there. Then Srimad Bhagavatam gives information about the absolute truth in personal feature, in his personal feature. Right? So, Bhagavatam is giving information about the personal feature of the Lord. Because we are all personalists, right? We believe that Lord is a person, and we follow Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga means worshipping the personal aspect of the Lord. Why? Because Bhakti is an eternal path. Now you see, there are no karmis in the spiritual world who are desiring for heavenly opulence and then material sense gratification. There are no jnanis in the world who are desiring to enter the effulgence of the Lord Brahman. From spiritual world I jump into Brahman. So nobody is there in the spiritual world like that. There are no yogis in the spiritual world. Nobody in the spiritual world will sit and meditate on Paramatma. They directly can have pastimes with Krishna. Why there would be a Paramatma meditator? So, no karmis in the spiritual world, no jnanis in the spiritual world, no yogis in the spiritual world, only bhaktas are there in the spiritual world. And we are trying to be bhaktas. Means we are on the eternal path. We will go to the eternal abode if we stick to this path. Any other path is just existing in this material world only. It's not there in the spiritual world. That's why bhakti is the eternal path that will lead you to the personality of the Lord, personality of Godhead. So Bhagavatam is supposed to be describing and glorifying and explaining the process of Bhakti Yoga and establishing Krishna as Bhagavan. So Bhagavatam has pure descriptions about Bhagavan, Bhakti, Bhakta. So that's why it is spotless Puran. It has the actual substance. There is no substandard stuff here in Bhagavatam. That's why Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivagam, for the auspiciousness of everyone. Then Tapatrayon Molanam. This is very interesting. So Tapatrayon Molanam means one more thing about Nirmatsaranam Satam. So being a devotee, being non-envious of Krishna, he will automatically becomes non-envious of all other living entities. So, Nirmatsaranam means Nirmatsaranam in relationship with Krishna and in relationship with other living entities also. There is no envy towards anyone, including God and his energies. That's what Nirmatsaranam means. So, in the material world, everyone wants to be God. Everyone wants to be the enjoyer. Everyone wants to be the controller. That means what? There is envy. There is only one God, one controller, one enjoyer. Right? And you want to be that. Then that is envy. You are not acknowledging this position. You are not happy to see him in that position. You want to take that position. That is envy. If one accepts Krishna as the God, as enjoyer and as Supreme Personality, right, as the independent controller, and I am supposed to be his servant, so that non-envious towards Krishna, that mentality of giving up the controllership, mentality of lording of the material world, that also is given up. That means you are not envious of Krishna. That non-enviousness towards Krishna is manifested in non-enviousness towards other living entities. That is Nirmatsaranam Sadam Vedyam. Now coming to Tapatraya, Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam that we have seen. Then Tapatrayon Mulana means Bhagavatam uproots the threefold miseries. How can we do that? How can we claim? This is too much claim. How can Bhagavatam uproot threefold miseries? It's just a book. If I read this book, I have no Adhyatmika, Adidevika and Adi Bhautika kleshas. It's like too much of claim. Bhagavatam will not remove the tapatrayas. Bhagavatam will give the consciousness to deal with those tapatrayas. Right? It will equip the reader, sincere reader of Bhagavatam with full realization to be able to see all those tapatrayas, miseries, as stepping stones to come closer to Krishna. So misery is there means it's an opportunity for me to come closer to Krishna. Bhagavatam has sufficient examples like that. Chitraketu, he was cursed to become a demon. He just gave one feedback to Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati, cursed you to become a demon. But you also give one feedback, you also give some criticism, you give some chastisement, you give some small punishment. But cursing to become a demon, that's quite a heavy punishment. But Chitraketu said, right, Gana pravahaye tasmin kasyapa kon manugraha. What is a blessing? What is a curse? Right? I accept this curse. Because Narayana Parasarvai Nakudasyana Vibhyati. He is not fearful. So material misery is coming upon an exalted devotee, but he is not perceiving it as a material misery. Because he has taken shelter of Bhagavatam. Tapatraya Unmulanam. Right? Tapatraya is gone for him. That tapa, the threefold misery, is no more a misery for him. It's just an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. There is no other reason. Same thing with Parikshit also. Bhagavatam opens with that. Parikshit Maharaj example. He got cursed to die in 7 days. But he saw is a cause of indifference to all the worldly matters. He said, I will go and then hear Krishna Katha from devotees. Tapatrayonmulanam. So Tapatrayonmulanam means the fear of misery is taken out. The right perception of misery is given, is bestowed upon the reader. You will be able to perceive this situation in your life in the right spirit. Right? To see that as Krishna's mercy. Tattenu kampam susamikshamanam hunjana eva atmakritam vipakam. So that consciousness is given to a sincere Bhagavatam reader. That's why it is called Tapatrayonmulanam. One cannot expect that, right, I am reading Bhagavatam, there are no more miseries. Right? No need to see doctor. That's not the way. So, proper further writes. The devotee is fully aware that he is one with the Absolute and at the same time in his eternal position of servant of the Absolute too. In the material conception, one falsely thinks himself of Lord of what he serves, and therefore he is always troubled by the threefold miseries. So why threefold miseries are existing, as Prabhupada explains here, it is because the living entity wants to control. He wants to lord over this material nature. That's why threefold miseries are there. Otherwise there are no miseries only. Someone who has given up the controllership mentality and enjoyer mentality, he has no threefold miseries only. They don't exist only. So Bhagavatam equips us with that consciousness. As long as the living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. There is a lot to go deep into these verses. Each statement of Prabhupada is so thought-provoking, we can discuss a lot. This is an overview class of one full chapter. So we will move forward. And one more important thing, Bhagavatam is written at the maturity of Vyasadev's knowledge. So that also we discussed earlier. And Prabhupada finally writes, the proper method for receiving this transcendental message is to hear it submissively. Submissive hearing. A challenging attitude cannot help one realize this transcendental message. So one has to approach Srimad Bhagavatam and learn Srimad Bhagavatam with submissiveness, not in challenging attitude. One should not try to master this scripture. One should just become a servant of this scripture. When Prabhupada was going to US, he said, Bhagavatam is going to US and I am accompanying Bhagavatam as a servant. He only wrote that Bhagavatam. He has his published volumes, but he is considering himself a servant of the message of Bhagavatam. As a servant of this message of Bhagavatam, my duty is to give this message to everyone. That's what Prabhupada's consciousness was. So Prabhupada is writing with that similar mood here. So the desire to sincerely hear is first qualification. The process is simple, but application is difficult. Right? Process is simple. Just hear submissively, attentively. But it is difficult. Like that. So the intelligent person with thoughtful discretion can be assured that the great says Vyasadeva, that he can realize the Supreme Lord directly by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. That is Sadhyo Hridi Avarudyate, Atra Kritibi, Sirshushibi, Tatshanat. So all these different promises are given, glories of Bhagavatam are mentioned, with these 3 times repeating this word Atra, in this Bhagavatam, in this Bhagavatam, in this Bhagavatam. 3 times Atra is repeated. That's another special feature of this wonderful verse. Now we will read the 3rd verse. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam Sukhamukhadamritadrava samyutam Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaah. So this verse says Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam. So Nigama means scriptures. Right? So kalpataror, these Vedic scriptures are compared to a desire tree. Kalpataror. And galitam phalam, Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of that tree of Vedic literatures. Galitam, ripened fruit. Right? So that galitam phalam means, Acharya gives an explanation. It is Raganuga Bhakti. Phalam. So in Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, there are so many rules and regulations that one needs to follow out of force or prescription or attendance or whatever. That is his impetus to do. Galitam phalam means mature fruit. Means there is no force, there is no attendance. It's innate in him. It is natural for him to follow the process. That is Galitam phalam. So that is Raganuga Bhakti. It follows after the sentiments of gopis. Raga Anuga Bhakti. So even Vedas also followed Sriti gopis. Sritichari gopis are there. They also followed the gopis. So Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Sukhamukhat Amritadrava Samyutam. And because Sukadeva Goswami, who is like a parrot, he recited this Bhagavatam, that has become very sweet. It has appeared so sweet and nectarian. Just like a mango is very sweet, a ripe mango is very sweet. When that mango is bitten by a parrot, its flavor gets increased. Similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam itself is sweet, but when Sukadeva Goswami is speaking that Bhagavatam, it is becoming even sweeter. It has become so sweet that the author of Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva, was sitting in audience. the instructor of Bhagavatam, the inspirer or instigator of Bhagavatam, Narada Muni was also sitting in audience. They were sitting and hearing Sukadeva Goswami as if they are hearing Bhagavatam for the first time. It has become so sweet and nectarian when Sukadeva Goswami spoke. Sukhamukhat amrita drava samyutam. So fruit is like it's like some kind of solid object, right? Amrita drava. It has become liquid, right? It has become semi-solid, right? It has become drava. Amrita drava samyutam. So because it has become drava, pibata. Drink it. Don't eat the fruit. Drink the fruit. Drink the juice of the fruit. Pibata. Bhagavatam. Rasamalayam. Right? Rasam alayam. It's just an abode of rasa. Juice. Right? So the objectionable parts like peel or seed are not there in this mango. Just the pulp is there, semi-solid. You just have to drink it. No endeavor of chewing it also. Just taste it. Like that. Rasamalayam. So muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavaka. Muhuraho means constantly you hear Bhagavatam. Constantly you drink Bhagavatam. Rasika means, oh experts in relishers of mellows, please drink this Bhagavatam. Bhuvi bhavaka. So this Amrita Drava Samyutam has a very special significance. So Krishna's activities are definitely sweet. But when a devotee describes those activities of Krishna, they become even more sweeter. So Krishna steals butter in the houses of gopis. There are so many houses in Gokul. Krishna was just a 3-year-old boy. There was not a single house that Krishna left without stealing butter there. The small boy, he covered all the houses in Vrindavan. Right? All the gopis were relishing those activities, butter stealing activities of Krishna. The purpose for which they make butter is just so that Krishna can come and steal it. Right? So all these gopis were thinking, we are relishing Krishna's butter stealing activities, but Yashodamai does not have this privilege. Krishna never steals butter in Yashodamai's house. Right? Yashodamai, poor Yashodamai, she is bereft of this pleasure of relishing Krishna's butter stealing pastimes. Let us go and give this pleasure to Yashodamai. They go to Yashodamai and Lord's complaints. Their intention is to give that pleasure to Yashodamai, but they put it in the form of complaints, sweet complaints. Now Krishna's butter stealing pastimes are sweet. But when gopis with so much of enthusiasm and emotion are complaining about those butter stealing pastimes to Yashodamai, they appear even more sweeter. So Yashodamai was more fortunate than the gopis themselves to hear those butter stealing activities from gopis. Right? So gopis had certain pleasure, certain amount of pleasure seeing Krishna stealing, but Yashodamai had more pleasure because those stealing activities are communicated to her accompanied by their loving and affectionate feelings for Krishna. So when devotees describe Krishna's activities, they become more sweeter than the activities themselves. If you directly witness Krishna stealing butter, you may get some pleasure. But you hear when Sukadeva Goswami is describing or gopis are describing, the pleasure is millions of times more than personally witnessing it. That's why all the prayers of Bhagavatam are filled with desires to hear Krishna Katha. Vidhatsva karnayutameshamevaraha. I want millions of ears to hear Krishna Katha from your devotees. Ya nirvridastanubhratam tava pada padma dhyanat bhavajjana katha sravanena vasyat. So I want opportunity to hear Krishna Katha from your devotees. Dhruva Maharaj says, Pruta Maharaj says, so many people say. Right? So that is the effect of hearing from Sukadeva Goswami. Right? Then Pipata. Pipata means drink, that we have discussed. Right? Then Bhagavatam means that which belongs to Bhagavan. He alone gives Bhagavatam to his devotees. Bhagavatam means the property of Bhagavan. And Bhagavan has bestowed that Bhagavatam to his devotees. It has become property of devotees. Right? Only he can bestow. So when somebody is reading Bhagavatam, you should understand that Krishna is giving me. Krishna is giving me this nectar. Right? No one else. So others have no right over it. Krishna only has right. He has given the rights to copyrights to the devotees, right? Then Pivata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. Rasam we will discuss later, but we will discuss Alayam first. Alayam means Laya means liberation. Which liberation? Any 5 kinds of liberation. Alayam means that which surpasses liberation. So Bhagavatam surpasses the 5 kinds of liberation. Sarokya, Sarupya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sayujya. All these 5 kinds of liberation are there. Bhagavatam goes beyond these 5 kinds of liberation. Right? Then Laya can also mean this 8th symptom of the Ashtasattvic Vikar, which is fainting. Right? One should hear Srimad Bhagavatam or one should drink Srimad Bhagavatam and faint. And Muhu word is used. Again get up, drink Srimad Bhagavatam, faint. Again get up, drink Srimad Bhagavatam, faint. So like that you experience Bhagavatam perpetual. Hanumat Preksha Maharaj came to GV. Right, he was discussing about Vidyapit for an hour or so. And while going he was saying that you read Bhagavatam life after life. So he was blessing. So Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavaka. And Rasika is not referring to Karmis or Jnanis or Yogis. It is referring to Bhaktas only. Like that. And Galitam Phalam. So this Galitam Phalam, this mature fruit is falling on its own. I think last time also we discussed. So it falls. Right? It doesn't fall directly from top branch to ground and get destroyed. So it falls from branch to branch. It comes through parampara. From top branch, Krishna branch to Brahma branch to Narada branch to Vyasa branch to Sukadeva Goswami to Sutta Goswami branch, like that it comes. So when it comes branch to branch, the fruit is protected. So that protected fruit without any damage or destruction is delivered to a sincere reader who approaches Bhagavatam through bona fide commentaries of the parampara. If one tries to understand Bhagavatam with his own intelligence, trying to screw out some meanings from it by his own material intelligence, then Bhagavatam does not reveal itself. It is like taking a stone and then throwing on the fruit so that it falls down and I will eat it. When you throw a stone on the top branch and then the fruit falls off, then it will get destroyed. You may not receive Bhagavatam as it is. The proper way of receiving Bhagavatam is through parampara. Then the fruit is as it is. That's what Chakravarti explains in his commentaries. Like that. And one needs to understand this Bhagavatam through proper commentaries. In the 10th canto, there is a description of Vrindavan, monsoon in Vrindavan. So in monsoon, we can see in GV also, because people don't walk so much on the roads, some roads might get blocked, right? So there is lot of grass and trees, plants, they grow and cover up that path, right? The path is covered and then one does not use that path. And even if we have to walk in that path, we feel fearful. Oh, between these plants, some scorpion may be hiding, some snake may be hiding. That is our insecurity. We may not even walk on that path. So the lesson there is, by not using a road, the road will be blocked. Similarly, by not studying the scripture, one will lose access to that scripture. Right? If one generation doesn't read the scriptures and doesn't pass that scriptural knowledge to the next generation, there is a gap created. How will the next generation understand what is there in the scriptures? Right? So it's one's responsibility to study the scriptures and the bona fide explanations of the acharyas and transfer it to the next generations. That is the service in the parampara. Right? So they will be blocked. The roads, just like roads, will be blocked. And to extend that analogy, as I said, there could be some snakes or some scorpions hiding between those trees. One will feel afraid of going there also. If one generation keeps a gap by not reading the scriptures, next generation, although they want to read the scripture, they feel fearful. There may be some snake. Who will understand this so much? Right? I will better do something else. I will take some other path, not this path. Although there is a short path and easy path and proper path, bona fide path, still one may take some other path. right, out of fear of entering this. So it's the responsibility of someone who is connected to the parampara to take the teachings of the parampara to the next generations. So as Chakravarti Pada also is very wonderfully emphasizing this point. So Prabhupada writes in this purport that regulated knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform, and the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that Lord is the reservoir of all spiritual tastes. That is, Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Right? Krishna is the form of all rasas. We have this verse, beautiful verse in the 10th canto. Mallanam Ashani Ranam Naravaram Strinam Smaro Murtiman Gopanam Sajano Satam Kshitibujam Shasta Sapitro Sishu Mrityur Bhojapater Virada Vidusham Tattvam Param Yoginam Vrishninam Paradevateti Vidito Rangam Gata Sagraja. So Krishna, just a 10-10.5-year-old boy, entered the wrestling arena of Kamsa, and there are different categories of people. 10 categories are mentioned. They all saw Krishna in different ways. So Krishna's darshan in that wrestling arena invoked different emotions in different categories of people. All the parental people, they were seeing Krishna and having some affectionate feelings. Right, and all the wrestlers were seeing him as a thunderbolt, Mallana, Mashanir, Nradam, Naravaram. People are seeing and then thinking that he is the best of all males, best of all men. Strinam, Smaro Murtiman, all the Stri, women, were seeing Krishna as stupid personified. So that same personality, 10-year-old boy, he is invoking different emotions, different rasas, because he is the abode of all rasas. That's what is mentioned here. Bhagavatam is a description of all this. Next, and Krishna is so attractive to everybody. Krishna is attractive to even his own avatars also. Yan martya lelo vaikam swayoga maya balam darshayeta grihitam vismapanam swasya cha sobhagarde param padam bhushana bhushanangam. All the incarnations of Krishna are also attracted to Krishna. That's mentioned in the 3rd canto verse. Here Prabhupada mentions all the 12 rasas. Because he is Akhila Rasamrita Murti, whichever rasa one may approach Krishna with, Krishna will reciprocate in that rasa. 3rd canto Brahmaji says, Yadyad dhyata urugaya vibhavayanti tattat vapuh pranayase sadanugrahaya. Yadyad dhyata, with one's intelligence, one may approach Krishna in a certain way, in certain flavor. He may like certain form of Krishna, certain deity of Krishna, and then worship Krishna in that mellow, that mood. Tattat vapuh pranayase sadanugrahaya. Krishna will reciprocate with the devotee in that same flavor. Krishna has the ability to manifest a unique form and unique mood, which is very much suitable and aligning to the aspirations of one particular devotee. Although there are millions and trillions of such devotees, Krishna can uniquely manifest himself for the pleasure of that one particular devotee, who may be one in billions. So Krishna has that ability to reciprocate. That's why he is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So the rasas are exchanged between members of same species. Okay, there is no exchange of rasas between members of different species. One may imagine he is experiencing some rasa with a dog or a cat. But Prabhupada says that if one thinks that he is experiencing rasa with a dog or cat, he will have to become a dog or cat in his next life and experience rasa. Continue. Bharat Maharaj episode, he says. Right? So one will get attached to animal, he will have to become an animal. Like that. Rasa can be exchanged in same species. So, Krishna is spiritual, we are spiritual. Right? So we are same species. So rasa has to be originally experienced with Krishna, because we are same species. Krishna and ourselves. Like that. Spiritual in nature. So like that there are several other wonderful elements in this purport. And one more thing. In this last page of the purport, Prabhupada writes, Sukadeva Goswami was compared to parrot not for his ability to recite Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that is appeal, that will appeal to all classes. So hearing and repeating as it is one thing. Hearing and speaking that in a way relevant to the current audience is another aspect. Sukadeva Goswami had that ability. Right? We will see more in the later chapters. So one has to preserve the essence of what the previous acharyas are giving us and has to present that essence in a way which is understandable by the modern people. Right? If one has only the understanding of the modern audience, if he doesn't have the understanding given by the acharyas, so there is no cohesion brought between. He should have sufficient understanding from there, he should have some understanding from here and mix and then present, that makes things very relevant. Understand the current, Prabhupada understood, people will understand English language. Okay, he took Acharya's commentaries, Sanskrit commentaries and put them in English. Right? So like that. He has the ability. Even Mahaprabhu also, his preaching style is different with different categories of people. With great souls like Ramanand Rai, he was discussing Radha Krishna pastimes. Radha Krishna Vilasa Mahatva, Radha Tattva, Krishna Tattva, Bhakti Tattva. All these he was discussing with Ramanand Rai, esoteric pastimes. And when it comes to Sarvam Bhattacharya, he was discussing philosophy. Right? Lot of tattva he is discussing. Not rasa tattva, some other tattva, philosophy tattva. Then with Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, he was describing the principles of devotional service. And with regular crowd, he was doing kirtan. So he was presenting Krishna consciousness in a way that is relevant to different categories of people. Right? Sukadeva Goswami also had that ability. So like that, Prabhupada wonderfully explains this purport, this verse. So these three verses form the prelude to the rest of the chapter and in one sense, rest of the Bhagavatam. It's like an invocation. Now the main subject matter of Bhagavatam will begin from the fourth verse. Naimishe nimishakshetre Rishayah Saunakadayah Satram Svargaya Lokaya Sahasra Samamasata. Can someone read the translation?
Once in a holy place in the forest of Nimisharanya, great sages headed by the sage Shaunaka assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord and his devotees.
So, once in the holy place called Naimisharanya, all these several thousands, 88,000, right? Some number I heard. So there are several thousands of sages assembled there, headed by Shaunak Rishi. So they were asking questions to Suta Goswami. So Prabhupada mentions about Naimisharanya. So Naimisharanya's significance he mentions. So Brahmaji once contemplated a great wheel that can accommodate all the universe, and the center, the hub of that wheel is falling at Naimisharanya. That is according to the Vayuviya Tantra. So like that there are other quotes also glorifying the significance of Naimisharanya. Then important element in this verse Prabhupada highlights is that all these sages Satram Svargaya Lokaya. Here Svargaya can refer to the Lord who is glorified in Svarga, or Svargaya can also refer to their aspiration of entering Svarga. Right? Initially they were aspiring to enter heavenly Svarga. Right? But in Suta Goswami's association that got transformed. And Svargaya can also mean that they were glorifying the Lord who is glorified in Svarga. Right? The Lord, Prabhupada takes that meaning. Svargaya means the Lord who is glorified in heaven. Right? Sahasra Samamasata. Svargaya is like Urugaya. Urugaya means Lord who is glorified very nicely. Similarly, Svargaya means Lord who is glorified in Svarga. Like that. So the devotees are always attached to the service of the Lord, whereas fallen souls are attached to the pleasures of material existence. Right? So it is enjoined therefore that all acts must be performed sacrificially for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Prabhupada basically gives the understanding from 3.9. What is that? Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karmavandhanaha. That verse. Every activity has to be done for the satisfaction of Vishnu, otherwise it will entangle him. Right? So, all these sages were very anxious for the welfare of people. So they were conscious of welfare of people in general, to do good for the people. That's why they assembled in Naimisharanya, holy place, with this program of performing a great sacrifice, right, for the peace and prosperity of the society. Right? Such people are always anxious to perform acts which may bring about peace in the world. They are sincere friends to all living entities. And at the risk of great personal inconvenience, they are always engaged in service of the Lord for the good of people. So Prabhupada glorifies them. So, how one can engage in service of everyone? By watering the root. Prabhupada writes, by pouring water in the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree are automatically nourished. Only those branches and leaves that are disconnected from the tree are not nourished. So, when someone is watering the root, he should not be surprised that some leaves are still dry, some twigs are still dry. One needs to understand that these twigs or branches are disconnected. Right? They are apparently there, but the connection is gone. They are just about to fall off. Like that. So one may endeavor a lot to pour water, but if the society is already disconnected from the path of Krishna consciousness, they will not get that water, because they are not connected to the root only. The modern materialistic society is detached from its relation to the Supreme Lord. Right? So detached branches and leaves dry up gradually despite all watering attempts. Similarly, human society, when it is detached from personality of Godhead, is not capable of being watered, and one attempting to do so simply wastes his energy and resources. So Prabhupada also writes in one of the purports of Chaitanya Charitamrita that if circumstances are not favorable at one place for preaching, a preacher can go to a different place and start preaching there. Right? There should be some connection. He can water and then strengthen that connection. And these fellows are disconnected and they have no intention to reconnect also. Why waste time there? Like that. Prabhupada says. He quotes the example of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He saw the circumstances in Navadvip not very favorable for preaching. He went to South India and started preaching. Like that. Prabhupada also said, India it was not very favorable. I went to America and started preaching. So, ta ekadatu munayah pratar hutagnaya satkritam sotamasinam paprachur idamadarat.
One day after finishing the morning duties of burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seed of the stream to Srila Mukta Goswami, great sages may inquire great respect for the matters.
So this shows how a sincere hearer of Bhagavatam respects in his process of inquiring. With great respect they started inquiring. So Vyasadeva was the original spiritual preceptor, and a representative of Vyasadeva is supposed to present the viewpoint of Vyasadeva exactly. Right? And such a representative has to be respected like Vyasadeva. Like that. Here, in the initial purports of this first chapter itself, Prabhupada very wonderfully sets the mood of a speaker of Bhagavatam, mood of a hearer of Bhagavatam, and the glory of the subject matter Bhagavatam. Very beautiful purports. Worth memorizing. See, in the 64th page, second half of the purport, the Goswamis do not deliver lectures on the Bhagavatam capriciously. Rather, they execute their services most carefully, following their predecessors who delivered the spiritual message unbroken to them. They just don't speak, they also follow their spiritual preceptors. right? They do their services nicely. They are submissive to their spiritual authorities, so they can deliver that message. That message has some substance when it is delivered with personally imbibing it with the spirit of mode of submissiveness to one's spiritual authorities. That will come later also. Prabhupada is revealing it here only. So those who listen to the Bhagavatam may put questions to the speaker in order to elicit the correct meaning, right? Not in a challenging spirit. One must submit enquiries with a great regard for the speaker and the subject matter. This is the hearer's responsibility. Prabhupada first spoke about the speaker's responsibility. Now this is hearer's responsibility. So submissive oral reception from the right sources is the key. Like that. Now let's see what they say. So they submissively started inquiring. So what do they say? 6th, 7th and 8th verses. These 3 verses, they glorify Sutta Goswami. Rishaya uchuhu Tvaya khalu puranani Setihasani chanagha Akhyatanyapyadhitani Dharmashastrani yanyuta.
The sages said, respected Sutta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all the scriptures famous for religious life and in the Puranas and the histories as well. For you have gone through them under proper guidance and have also explained them.
So Tvaya Khalu Puranani Setihasani Chanagha. This is like one of the qualifications of Sutta Goswami is that he has gone through the scriptures, Puranas and Itihasas, etc. And he is Anagha, sinless. Right? Akhyatani Adhitani. He is well versed in the scriptures by studying them thoroughly and by explaining them also. He has the experience of personally studying it. He also has the experience of explaining it also. Tvaya Khalu Puranani Setihasani Akhyatani Adhitani. Right? So Prabhupada writes in the purport, a bona fide representative of Vyasadeva has to follow 4 regulative principles and must be freed from vices. That's like Anagha. And to hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Okay? So only one who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject matter. So one has to hear. This study is also compared to hearing only. We are hearing from Prabhupada. Right? So one properly grasped it, then he can explain it. Like that. Yani Veda Vidam Shreshto Bhagavan Badarayana Anyecha Munaya Suta Paravara Vido Vidu.
Being the eldest learned Vedantist, O Sutta Goswami, you are acquired with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead, and you also know the other sages who are fully versed in all kind of physical and metaphysical knowledge.
Yani Vedavidam Shreshto. Vedavidam means one who knows the Vedic knowledge. Vedavidam Shreshto, you are the best of all knowers of Vedic knowledge. Right? Then Bhagavan Badarayana Anyacha Manaya Sutta. You have the knowledge of Vyasadeva and other sages also. By hearing from various bona fide sources, one will know the realizations of various devotees. One will understand their knowledge. Like that. The Sutta Goswami is of that kind. Then Paravara Vido Viduhu. So you know, you are well conversant with physical and metaphysical knowledge, spiritual knowledge and material knowledge. Right? So everything, both facets you understand, deeper knowledge. So one has to be well versed with 6 systems of philosophical things that this Mimamsaka and all these are there, right? One has to understand that also. Prabhupada sets a very high standard for a Bhagavatam speaker. Right? See, but these 2 are the external qualifications of Sutta Goswami. Having so much of knowledge of the scriptures is definitely a qualification, but more important serious qualification of Sutta Goswami is coming in the 8th verse. Beautiful verse. Vettattvam saumya tat sarvam tatvatastadanugrahat bruyusnigdhasya sishyasya guravo guhyamakyuta. He says Vettattvam saumya tat sarvam. Vettattvam means you know everything. What all you know? Sarvam tattvataha. In truth you know everything. How did you know? Tat anugrahat. All your gurus have shown mercy on you. And Guravo Guhyamapyuta, they have revealed all the confidential secrets of the scriptures to you. Why they did so? Saumya and Snigdha. Saumya means he is very simple and pure in his personal attitude and character. And Snigdha means he is very malleable and submissive and surrendered to his spiritual authorities. Personally he is simple. In relation to his superiors, he is submissive. This simplicity and submissiveness invoked mercy in his spiritual authorities and bestowed him with full anugraha. Then Vettattvam saumya tat sarvam. Last two verses said how he knows everything. What is the reason for his knowing? His submissiveness and simplicity. So that is the qualification of Suta Goswami, to be able to understand all these scriptures and speak them. In some of the later verses it said that Suta Goswami is not very well versed with so many sections of the things also, but he knows essence, like that. So essential truths are revealed to him. So scholarship alone might ruin a person. Scholarship accompanied with submissiveness will make him very advanced, like Suta Goswami, and he can deliver that knowledge to sages like Naimisharanya sages, right? So Snigdhasya can also mean affectionate. So Snigdhasya means Saunaka the Rishis, Suta Goswami was very affectionate to his gurus, and his gurus were very affectionate towards him. That mutual affection between Suta Goswami and his teachers made the knowledge flow very smoothly and transmit very smoothly, like that. So while rejecting all the other sages, enacting their own ideas from confidential shastras, we surrender unto you. Please give us the knowledge. That's what Saunika Rishis were telling Suta Goswami. So very beautiful purport Prabhupada writes. The secret of success in spiritual life is in satisfying the spiritual master and thereby getting his sincere blessings. So one may bless, a spiritual authority may bless apparently. He may smile. But here Prabhupada says sincere blessings. By blessing also, if the blesser is sincere in giving blessings, then one will get that blessings in the right spirit, in the right way. The real blessings he will get. And what will invoke the sincerity in the blessings? The sincerity of submission will invoke sincerity in blessings. Otherwise, the submission is superficial, blessing is also superficial. When the submissiveness is sincere, blessing will become sincere. One will be empowered to understand these confidential truths. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has sung this Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado, like that. Only by his satisfaction one can please the personality of Godhead. And when he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc in the path of self-realization, spiritual realization. We have this example of Ramachandra Puri and Ishwar Puri. Ishwar Puri served his spiritual master Madhavendra Puri at his last stages of his life, and he received sincere blessings from Madhavendra Puri. But Ramachandra Puri, he just attracted curses from Madhavendra Puri, right? That will come in Antilila, 8th chapter. So it is essential therefore that a disciple be very much obedient and submissive to bona fide spiritual master. Then he will be able to understand their knowledge. Tatra tatranjasa yushman bhavata yadvinishchitam pumsam ekantata shreyah tanna samsitum arhasi.
uncertain to be the absolute and ultimate good for people in general.
So, therefore, tatra anjasa yushman, right? Oh, blessed Sutta Goswami, please answer this question in an understandable way. What was their question? What is that? Pumsam ekantata shreya. Pumsam ekantata shreya means ekantata. What is the one and only or ultimate or absolute shreya, good for people in general? Pumsam ekantata shreya is the first question. Please tell us what is the ultimate and absolute good for people in general. Okay? That is the first question. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, in Bhagavad Gita, worship of the Acharya is recommended. The Acharyas and Goswamis are always absorbed in the thought of the well-being of the general public, especially their spiritual well-being. Right? So a ruler may be also concerned about the material well-being, but a guru, a spiritual guru, is specifically concerned about the spiritual well-being of the disciple or people in general also. So they are asking for the welfare of common people. That shows the glory of their question. They are thinking about others. Next, now so far all the sages have glorified Sutta Goswami as the all-knower. You know everything. Vettattvam, Somya Tat Sarvam, then Akhyatani, Adhitani, Veda Vidam Sreshtaha. They glorified him like anything. You know everything. So Sutta Goswami might say, let me speak everything. Then these sages will say, if you speak everything, we can't figure out what is the essence. Because Kali Yuga is coming up. You know what are the qualifications of Kali Yuga, qualities of Kali Yuga people? That they first explain. Prayenalpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge janah mandaha sumanda matayo manda bhagya yupadritah. This is prayena alpayusha. Alpa ayusha. They have very meager duration of life. Right? Then second qualification, Kalavasmin Yuge Janaha, the people of Kali Yuga are having meager duration of life. Then Mandaha means they are very lazy fellows. Mandaha. Then Sumandamatayoho, they are misguided people. Mandabhagya, they are so unfortunate, unlucky people. Then Upadritaha, on top of it they are always disturbed. It is said that he already monkey. He drank, whiskey, whatever, liquor. And on top of it, he stamped on some, fire. Coal, burnt coal. You can just imagine what all havoc he can do. Kali Yuga people are like that. Sages are saying. Prayena alpayusha, very meager amount of life. Then Manda, Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya, Upadrita. All glorious qualifications are mentioned, 5 qualifications. So, Chakravartipad says, so Manda, Sumanda Mataya, that can also mean they are unintelligent. Right? So, Chakravartipad gives it in a sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 qualities are there, right? They are Alpayusha. Even if they are not Alpayusha, they are Manda. Okay, assuming that they are not Manda, but they are Manda, Sumanda Matayo. Right? Okay, they are not Sumanda Matayo also, they are Manda Bhagya, unlucky. They are not misguided, they got proper guidance, they got into the process of bhakti also, but they are Manda Bhagya, unlucky. They can't take advantage of that. When hearing and chanting and kirtan is going on, they will get spaced out. That's what he writes in his commentary. Right? Manda Bhagya. Upadraha, they are constantly disturbed also. They have so many problems. Even if they have some interest to participate in hearing and chanting, they are disturbed. Health problems will come. So like that, he gives a sequence. Even if they are 1, they are 2. Even if they are not 1, they are 2. Even if they are not 2, they are 3. Even if they are not 3, they are 4. Like that he gives a sequence. So Prabhupada explains this. Meager amount of duration, life duration. So what does it mean? So over sense gratification, overeating, over dependence on another mercy, and artificial standards of living, they sap the very vitality of human energy. That is how one's life is shortened. That is the reason for one's meager amount of life duration. Then lazy means they are not just lazy materially. More important is they are lazy spiritually. Right? Kali Yuga, most people are not lazy materially. They want to advance more in material civilization. They want more advancement in technology. Right? They want more smarter gadgets like that. But they are very dull in spiritual realization, lazy towards that. But due to bad system of education, men have no desire for self-realization. Even if they come to know about it, they are unfortunate. They become unfortunate victims of misguided teachers who pose themselves as spiritual leaders, but they are not spiritualists only. Right? So they are misguided teachers. That's why they are mandabhagya. And upadrita. In this age, men are victims of different political creeds, right? So different types of sense gratificatory diversions. Then their minds are always disturbed with full of anxiety. So these are various other qualifications of Kali Yuga. Unlucky and disturbed, misguided by teachers, false spiritualists. Unlucky because of so much of propaganda, political this and that, and unfortunate and disturbed because of so many anxieties. This is how Prabhupada explains. In Kali Yuga, entire atmosphere is surcharged with faithlessness. Men are no longer interested in spiritual values. So this is their explanation of Kali Yuga people. Why they are giving this explanation? Because Suta Goswami might speak everything that he knows. Please speak only the essence. If you speak everything and leave it for the Kali Yuga people to figure out what is the essence, they will not be able to figure out only. Just speak the essence of scriptures. That's what they will say in the 11th verse. Bhuri bhurini karmani srotavyani vibhagashah atas sadhotra yatsaram samudhritya vanishaya bhuri bhadraya bhutanam yenatma suprasidati.
Many varieties of scriptures. All of them there are things prescribed. You can learn only after being given system. Therefore, O sage, please select the essential teachings of all the scriptures and explain them for the good of all living beings. By such instruction, their hearts will be satisfied.
So now this is their second question. So there are varieties of scriptures. Why there are varieties of scriptures? Bhuri bhurini karmani srotavyani vibhagasah. Because different people have different inclinations. Right? Prabhupada writes somewhere. There are 3 modes. They combine with the 3 modes again. Combine with themselves. There are 9. They multiply, 81. They multiply. So like that, different people are influenced by a unique combination of modes. Some fellow has 20% of goodness, 40% of ignorance, 40% of passion. Some other fellow has 48% of goodness, 22% of ignorance, and then 40% of whatever remaining thing, passion. So like that, different people are influenced by a unique combination of modes. They need to be given unique treatments. That's why scriptures prescribe different methods, right, to cater to the needs of different categories of people. Like that, there are so many scriptures, right? If you go to some hotel, he will have a menu card of 500 items. Why 500 items? Different people have unique tastes. Some South Indian, some North Indian, some somewhere here and there. So different kinds of tastes. That will force the restaurant manager to have different items. Similarly, scriptures are also having different kinds of prescriptions to cater to the needs of different categories of people influenced by unique combinations of modes. Atas sadho atra yat saram. So scriptures describe so many things. You give the saram. essence of it. Samudritya Manishaya. Right? Give me the Samudritya means select. Give selected portions. Right? Selected verses. Right? Samudritya by selection. Manishaya by your best knowledge. Who can select? Right? Not anyone can select. If anyone selects, that will be like random collection. Right? If someone who has knowledge, if he selects, that selection is proper. Like that. So Bhuri Bhadraya Bhutanam Yenatma Suprasidati. When you select something and then compile and then give that essence, that will be Yenatma Suprasidati. That has to be satisfying to the self. That is the theme of all these questions. What you are going to describe should be satisfying to one's mind, one's intelligence and one's soul. Satisfaction of the self. So please speak that. Remember these lines. Yenatma Suprasidati. That's where answers also are connected. Second verse. Second chapter. So there are many varieties of approaches which are recommended for different types of living beings appearing in different times and different places. That's why there are many scriptures. Like that. Now 12th verse. Sutajanasi bhadram te Bhagavan Sattvatam Patihi Devakyam Vasudevasya Jato Yatsya Chikitshaya.
All blessings upon you. You know for what purpose the personality brought up in the form of devotee of the Son of God.
So this is the third question. Why did Krishna appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva? What is the purpose of his appearance? That is the third question. They asked total 6 questions. First question was, what is the ultimate good of people in general? Second question, what is the essence of scriptures? Third question, why did Krishna appear? Okay. So here, beautiful words are used. Bhagavan Sattvatam Patihi. So Krishna or Vishnu is called Sattvatam Pati. Why? Vishnu is called Sattvan because he is possessor of Sat. Right? Sat means devotee. Sat means devotee. The possessor of Sat is called Sattvan. Right? And those who have taken shelter of that Sattvan are called Sattvataha. Those who have given, one who has given shelter to those Sattvatas is called Sattvatam Pati. Sat, devotee, Sattvan, Lord, Sattvataha, devotee, Sattvatam Pati, Lord again. This is one explanation. Prabhupada simplifies it saying that Sat means absolute truth, Sattvataha means one who has understood that absolute truth, Sattvatam Pati means the Lord of the devotees who have understood the absolute truth. These are various ways of understanding Sattvatam Pati. So why Krishna appeared? The purpose is Bhavesmin Klishyamananam. Even Mother Kunti says in the 8th chapter why Krishna appeared. Right, to propagate devotional service. That we will discuss in the 8th chapter. Okay. Vasudeva is the symbol of transcendental position wherein the appearance of Supreme Lord takes place. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Right. Now 13th verse. So 13th verse onwards they express their eagerness. They express their eagerness to hear. Tanna susrushamananam arhasyanganu varnitum yasyavataro bhutanam kshemaya cha bhavaya cha.
O Shuddha Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of God and His incarnation. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by the great masters, Acharya. For one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them.
So Tannaha Susrushamananam. Once again, the quality of the hearer comes. Susrushamananam. They are very eager to hear. Then Arhasi Anga Anuvarnitam. And you have the ability to describe Anuvarnitam. So the qualification of a speaker is he has the ability to describe the Lord. Qualification of the hearer is he has the ability to hear. Right? He has sufficient eagerness to hear. That is mentioned here. Yasya avataro bhutanam kshemaya cha bhavaya cha. So please describe about the Lord's descent, which is basically for Kshema and Bhava. Kshema means for the good or for the liberation of people. Bhavayacha means for the upliftment or the prosperity of people. So Krishna appeared for that purpose. Please describe about Krishna. Prabhupada once again establishes the mood of a hearer and speaker here. Audience must be very sincere and eager to hear, and the speaker must be in the line of disciplic succession of a recognized acharya. So one must be in the chain of disciplic succession and learn the spiritual art of submissive hearing. One beautiful verse comes in the 18th chapter of this canto. Tanno bhavan vai bhagavat pradhanam mahattamaikanto parayanasya harerudaram charitam vishuddham susrushatam no vitanotu vidvan. It says, Tanno bhavan vai bhagavat pradhanam. That also, Naimisharanya says, telling Sutta Goswami, you are Bhagavat Pradhanam. Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only object of your life. That qualifies you as a speaker. Then, we are Susrushatamno. We are very eager to hear about Krishna. That is our qualification to hear. And what is the quality of the subject matter? Hare Udaram Charitam Vishuddham. Krishna's magnanimous, right? Udaram, Charitam Vishuddham, uncontaminated, pure, magnanimous activities of Krishna are the subject matter to hear. When this combination of speaker, hearer and subject matter comes together, that discussion is the most relishable discussion on the planet. Like that. That is a related verse in this context. Then, Apanna samsritim ghoram yannama vivasho grinan tatas sadyo vimuchyeta yad bibheti swayam bhayam.
Living beings who are entangled in the passion of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna. It's clear that.
Now they explain about the holy name. Right? What is the glory of holy name? Apannaha samsmritim ghoram. Apannaha means one who is in some danger, one who is entangled in some issue. Samsmritim. So apanna samsmriti means one who is entangled in samsmriti. Samsmriti means the cycle of repeated birth and death. Apanna samsmritim ghoram. That ghoram is referring to this samsmriti. Entangling in this cycle of material birth and death is ghora. Very dangerous. Right? For such a person. Yan nama vivasho granan. Vivasha means unconsciously. Right? Without much premeditated way, without much eagerness. Casually also. Yan nama vivasho granan. Such a person who is entangled in dangerous material cycle of birth and death, if he unconsciously also chants your holy name, yan nama vivasho granan, what will happen? Tatas sadyo vimuchyeta. He would be immediately liberated. Yet bibheti swayam bhayam. So swayam bhayam, the fear personified, is fearful when he sees the holy name. So Acharyas explained that Ajamili episode is a perfect example for this verse. Someone who is entangled in this birth and death cycle, he will be delivered by even unconsciously chanting the holy name. Ajamili is the right example. So other day we were discussing how Yamaraj gave a warning to Yamadutas. Right? Jihvana bhakti bhagavat gunanam adheyam chetaschana smarati taccharanāravindam krishnāyano namati achiraye kadapi tānānavadhyam asatam akrita vishnu kritya. Someone who has never chanted the holy name of Krishna, one who has never offered obeisances to Krishna, one who has not done any activity in relation to Vishnu brings such people. But even if one has offered obeisances to Krishna, obeisances to Vishnu, or chanted his holy names, or remembered him even once, such people don't test. Even Yamadutas and Yamaraj are fearful of the holy name, of people who have taken shelter of the holy name. Right? So, Te Deva Siddha Parigita Pavitra Gatha, that verse. So, everything is related to him and everything has its identity in him. So it is stated herein that the name of Krishna is feared even by the fear personified. That indicates that the name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. Right? So even in this material world also, someone takes someone's name, some Gunda is there, if someone goes and tells, oh, so and so fellow is coming, Gunda is coming, then people will become fearful. So he just spoke the name only. Personality is not in front of him. Even in material circles, the name can invoke the presence of a person and cause fear in a person. What to speak of Krishna's name? When Krishna's name comes, then fear personified is fearful. Like that. The transcendental name of Krishna, even though uttered unconsciously or by force of circumstances, can help one obtain freedom from hurdle of birth and death. Yatpada samshraya suta munaya prashamanaya sadyah punantyupashrishta svardhanyapo anusevaya.
O Suta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the greatest can sanctify only after long use.
So first they said about the purifying effect of Krishna Katha, then holy name, now purifying effect of devotees. That only reveals their eagerness to hear, their conviction on the subject matter, on what they are doing. They are convinced that what we are doing is correct process. We are not wasting time. So they say, Yat pada samshraya suta munayah prashamanayah. So there are devotees who have taken shelter of Krishna. They have the ability to sanctify whoever comes in touch with them. Devotees are more purifying than Ganga also. So Sadhya Punantyupashrishta Svardhanyapo Sevaya. So Ganga can purify a person after prolonged use, but a devotee will immediately purify a person. It's a positive purification, right? Not our regular way of purification that is popular amongst devotional circles. This is a bhagavatam way of purification. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that any person, regardless of birth or Sudra, woman or merchant, can take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And he can go back to Godhead. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means to take shelter of devotees. Beautiful line. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means to take shelter of devotees. Yesham samsmaranat pumsa sadya shuddhyanti vaigrahaha kim punar darshana sparsha pada sauchasanadibi. Parikshit Maharaj himself tells this to Sukadeva Goswami. Just by remembering a devotee we will be purified. What to speak of seeing him, darshana, sparsha, touching him, pada sauchasanadibi, by washing his lotus feet. How much purifying effect it has. Then 16th verse. Kova bhagavadastasya punya shlokedya karmanah shuddhikamo nusruniyad yashah kalimalapaham.
Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of age of God, who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of God?
If this is the case, who would give up hearing about Krishna? It's a very important purport and verse. Right? All the vices of Kali Yuga can be nullified by hearing Krishna Katha. So one of the last purports that Prabhupada wrote, that comes in first 10th canto, 11th chapter, one of the last verses. He translated till 13th chapter. This comes in the end of 11th chapter. Iti nandadayo gopaha Krishna Rama katham muda kurvanto ramamanascha navindam bhava vedanam. Iti nandadayo gopa Krishna Rama katham muda. So when Krishna kills Bakasur, then who is the other fellow? Same day. Vatsasur. Krishna kills Vatsasur and Bakasur, and all the Gopas would come to Vrindavan and inform this to Nanda Maharaj and other elderly Gopas. Then they were slightly surprised, but they were happy. So many demons are coming and attacking. They were not unduly worried. It's just a part of the game. Every time some demon or the other is coming. Why they can stay cool in the midst of so much calamity? For example, somebody is sitting here, some demon comes and then picks up few people and then throws them somewhere else. That is what is happening in Vrindavan every day. Every day some demon or the other is coming and disturbing the peaceful atmosphere of Vrindavan. It's totally unpredictable. From which direction who will come and attack, it's totally unpredictable. Right? Because Krishna was present there. But iti nandadayo gopa Krishna Rama katha muda. With great happiness, all the gopas headed by Nanda, they were discussing Krishna katha and Rama katha. Right? So kurvanto ramamanasya, with great eagerness and satisfaction and happiness they were discussing. Navindam bhavavedanam. So there is no bhavavedana. They have never experienced the distress of being in the material world. Same thing, tapatrayon molanam. Tapatraya is there, but devotee doesn't experience it. He can see that tapatraya as an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. Right? So tapatraya was there is calamity. I mean, Vrindavan was inundated by rains and by Indra, but they all were pleasurable. They are very happy to see Krishna face to face for 7 days, and at the end of 7 days nobody has any inclination to go back. And Kaliya lake is there. Krishna, that was a big calamity. All the Vrindavan Vasis came on the bank of Kaliya lake and then they were seeing Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. Somehow Krishna came out. After that they can go home, but none of them had the impetus to go home only. They didn't even lock their doors before coming. They saw some calamities and they immediately thought of Krishna's protection. They left their homes and then they just ran, following the footprints of Krishna. They came on the bank of Kaliya lake and seeing Krishna, somehow came out that calamity. They did not think of their homes. They did not want to go back again. They said, we will stay here only. That night they stayed there only, on the bank of Kaliya lake. Then forest fire came. Then also they were not disappointed, because we have decided to stay here. This forest fire is coming to swallow us. No, they just took shelter of Krishna. Krishna protected them constantly in the midst of calamities, but they were happy because they have taken shelter of Krishna katha. Now Prabhupada in this purport saying, people want peace, the leaders want peace and prosperity, but they don't know the peace formula. The peace formula is Krishna Rama katha muda. Just glorify Krishna. That is the peace formula. The leaders of the people are very much anxious to live in peace and friendship, but they have no information of the simple method of hearing the glories of the Lord. That's where peace can come. So these lines of Prabhupada should only increase our conviction in the process of hearing Krishna Katha. But by the insurmountable intricacies of the material nature of the Lord, all the plans for progress are being constantly frustrated. If we want actual peace, we must open the road to understanding of the Supreme Lord Krishna and glorify Him for His virtuous activities as they are depicted in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Discussion of the contents of Srimad Bhagavatam is the peace formula. Prabhupada very emphatically declaring this in these statements, in this purport. Now, 17th verse. Tasya karmanyudarani parigitani suribhi bhurina shraddhadananam leelaya dadatah kalah.
His transcendental acts are magnificent and glorious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations.
So, tasya karmani udarani. He does so many magnanimous activities. Parigitani suribhi. Those activities are glorified by great people, learned people. Right? Bhurina shraddhadanam. Please tell us. We are very eager to hear. Leelaya dadatah kalaha. Leelaya dadatah kalaha. So, please describe the pastimes of Krishna in relation to the creation of material world. That is this question. According to Jiva Goswami, this question is about the Purushavataras. Right? They are questioning about the Purusha avatars. So, like in the cinemas, very beautiful lines are there. Now we have only a few minutes. We'll move ahead. 18th verse. अथाख्या हि हरेर्धीमन् लीला विदद अवतारकथाश्रुताः लीला विददतः स्वैरम् ईश्वरस्यात्ममायया.
O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality, Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by His internal powers.
So, 18th verse is asking about Leela Avataras. This is the 5th question. So, Leela Avataras is this question, multi-incarnations. Now, 19th verse. Vayam tu na vitrupyama uttama shloka vikrame yashrinvatam rasagnanam svadu svadu pade pade. Now they are saying vayam tu na vitrupyama uttama shloka vikrame. We are not satisfied. A devotee is completely satisfied by hearing Krishna Katha. A devotee is not satisfied by hearing Krishna Katha. This is also achintya. Simultaneous satisfaction and dissatisfaction. That means a devotee is satisfied just by hearing Krishna Katha. He doesn't want anything else for his satisfaction. And a devotee is not satisfied by hearing any amount of Krishna Katha. However much he hears, he wants to hear more and more. In that sense, he is not satisfied. Here, vayam tuna vitrupyam, na vitrupyam. That's what they say here. So in some Bhagavad Gita verse, what is that verse? Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. With great satisfaction, devotees discuss. Now there is no satisfaction in hearing. So, satisfaction in that one subject matter, no satisfaction because they want to hear that same more and more. Like that. Like we are satisfied with halwa, we don't want any other sweet. But how many drones of halwa you give, we just eat. It's like that. So we are never tired of hearing. So mundane use is static, whereas transcendental use is dynamic. In as much as spirit is dynamic and matter is static. Right? So spirit is dynamic, matter is static. That is clear to understand. Same thing, this spiritual news is dynamic. Mundane news is static. So even our Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also says we can release one newspaper, one magazine every day. All that he says, right? There is enough subject matter because it is coming from Goloka. So enna vrajantya gavido rachananuvada kurvanti yenya vishaya kukathamati. So unscrupulous people will take more pleasure in kukathamati. Their minds are absorbed in worthless topics. This is what Brahmaji says in the 3rd canto. Now 20th verse. Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshava atimartyani bhagavan gudha kapatamanushaha. So
Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, and Balaram, led like human beings and so vast to perform the extraordinary acts.
So one small point from Chakravarti's commentary about the previous verse, 19th verse, why they are not satisfied. So one will say that I have had enough if there is a sufficiency of quantity. Right? Someone is serving, say, paneer sabji. So 1 spoon, 2nd spoon, 3rd spoon, somewhere you say sufficiency of quantity, enough, I can't take more. Second reason, if there is a lack of awareness of taste. Someone who is coming from a very simple background, who never saw paneer in his life, for him, he is not aware of the taste. He will say, give me some roti, sukha roti, something like that, khichdi, something like that. Then lack of relish, in spite of taking paneer sabji, if he doesn't relish it, then he will say, I don't want. These are the three reasons why one may say no. But stomach problem, that's another thing. So, but in the case of these sages, they did not have sufficiency of quantity. They have not heard enough. They want to hear more. Then second, they are aware of the taste. Third, they are also inclined to relish. Right? One will say, I have had enough if there is a sufficiency of quantity, if there is lack of awareness of taste, and if he doesn't relish only. But none of these three cases are true in the case of the sages. Now 20th verse, that is about 19th verse. Now 20th verse, Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshava. So the Lord appeared in this world and performed so many atimartyani, superhuman activities, like lifting Govardhan. 6-7-year-old boy lifting a big mountain, that's never seen. They are all superhuman activities. Gudaha kapata manushaha. Kapata means deceptive. Kapata manushaha means he is deceptive as a human being. Kapata manusha can mean he is deceptive to the human beings. Right? So to human beings like Jarasandha, he is deceptive. He appeared himself as a Brahman and then went and said, we want charity. What is the charity? Fight. Then he implored Bhima to kill him. He was deceptive to Jarasandha. And he is deceptive to gopis. Right? He just played flute in the middle of the night and all the gopis came. When they came, Krishna was saying, go back. He gave some moral instructions. These are not good. Ladies should not come out of the home in the middle of the night. You should go back. That's what he said. But if you see, this bewilderment which is caused by deceptiveness of Krishna is not actually the mistake of Krishna. This bewilderment, if it is bewilderment of demons, it is caused by their own ignorance. It is bewilderment of devotees like gopis, it is caused by their own prema. Right? Gudaha kapata manusha. The deceptiveness, if one is experiencing deceptiveness in Krishna, that is because of which energy of Krishna he is influenced. Jarasandha is influenced by Krishna's external energy, he gets deceived. Then gopis are influenced by Krishna's internal energy, they get deceived in a different way. Like that. But Lord is not deceiving anyone. Right? He is not kapata with anyone. He is just reciprocal with everyone. Next. Purport, you can read the details. Kalim agatam agnayam kshetresmin vaishnave vayam asena dirgha satrena kathayam sakshana Hare. Now the sages are saying that Kali Yuga has already begun. Kalim agatam agnayam. Knowing that Kali Yuga has begun, we have assembled here to perform sacrifice. But asina dirgha satrena, right? We have an interest in sacrifice. Now our interest in sacrifice has become only a show. We are more interested in what you are speaking than doing the sacrifice. Like that. So Prabhupada says that different yugas have different yuga dharmas. But for Kali Yuga, chanting is the yuga dharma. Regular hearing and recitation of bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. Other attempts are waste of time. Then he also quotes Bharata Bhumite Haila Manushya Janmaya. Tvam sandarshito dhatra dustaram nishtadirshyitam kalim sattvaharam pumsam karnadhara ivaranavam.
We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship. For those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of the human.
So now they are accepting our Sutta Goswami as the captain of the ship. The ship is Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, the scripture. Captain is the spiritual master. Right? So he will take us from this shore of the ocean to that shore. You are our captain, please deliver us. Like that. Next, last verse. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishne Brahmanye Dharmavartmani Swam Kashtam Adhunopete Dharma Dharma kam sharanam gataha. Here they are asking, Bhuri Yogeshware Krishna. Krishna is Yogeshwara. That indicates Krishna's powers. Brahmanye. That indicates Krishna's merciful nature. He is very affectionate to the Brahmanas. Then Dharma Varmani. That indicates that Krishna is the protector of Dharma. He is an armor of Dharma. He was protecting Dharma. So, Svam Kashtam Adhunopete Dharma Kam Sharanam Gatam. If Krishna disappeared, then where did Dharma take shelter? That was their question. Right? So, essentially Dharma is Dharmam to Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Now, Bhagavan went back to his abode. Where is Dharma? Where did Dharma take shelter? So, the answer is Say Krishna Parivartita. Krishna has come back in the form of Bhagavatam. Dharma has taken shelter of Bhagavatam. That answer will be given in the 3rd chapter. So this is the 6th question. The first question is, what is the ultimate good of people in general? Second is, what is the essence of all scriptures? Third is, why did Krishna appear? Fourth is Purusha Avataras. Fifth, Leela Avataras. Sixth, where did Dharma take shelter after Krishna's reappearance? These are the 6 questions. Before the 6 questions, there was a glorification of Suta Goswami. Before that, there was a prelude to Bhagavatam, where the Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojan Tattvas are explained in the 3 verses, first 3 verses. Thank you all very much. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I seek forgiveness from Baldev Prabhu, then Nandulal Prabhu and all the devotees here. Everybody is practically senior to me. If I have done any mistakes, please forgive me. Thank you.